Chapter 3067. Remember love net, Chu Xinyan said casually, some people think too highly of themselves. I don't mind what Miss June said, but it doesn't mean that any trash has the right to say it. I don't mind what Miss June said, but it doesn't mean that any trash has the right to say it. Miss June, don't you agree? Mu Yan looked at the dead cultivators and her eyes darkened. Seems like you really don't plan to hide your true nature. Hide? At this point, what else can I hide? Chu Xinyan laughed wildly, even with a twisted excitement. He paced back and forth in front of Mu Yan. Is it the blood abyss vine that I raised with thousands of lives? Or the dragon sky longevity experiment that I secretly did in the starry school? Or the number of descendants of the Lan family that I secretly assassinated in order to obtain the soul orb of the Lan royal family? Oh, right. And the children that I gave birth to and raised with great care, but in the end became my life-prolonging elixirs. Ha 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 ha, Jun Mu Yan, do you think I'm afraid of exposing these now? Every word that came out of Chu Xinyan's mouth made the cultivators present tremble. From these few words, one could tell just how many insane and evil deeds this normally sanctimonious north-placating marquis had done. And they had no idea about these things before. Now that they knew, they could do nothing about it. Kong Yuanzhou gritted his teeth and said, Chu Xinyan, you are the real evil demon. I only hate that I didn't completely see through your ambition and let your power grow so strong. In reality, the Lan family, Long Ting, and Su family had all noticed the strange movements of the North Dingho residents. It was just that Chu Xinyan had been very cautious in the past. They had asked around but could not find any evidence against him. Until Zhao Qingning disappeared, Ling Yaoshan ascended, and the two people above Chu Xinyan disappeared. In addition, young master suicide Ning Su used all his stubbornness to deal with Jun Mu Yan. Chu Xinyan finally grasped the best opportunity. Looking at Kong Yuanzhou's ferocious expression, Chu Xinyan laughed heartily. Speaking of which, I have to thank you unfettered seven demons for all of this. If it wasn't for the fact that you all rose to power with such a powerful force at such a young age and with such a low cultivation base, how could the people of the Purple Cloud realm have become greedy and ganged up on you? If it weren't for this group of idiots forming the demon-slaying alliance to suppress you, I wouldn't have been able to kill you. How could I have the opportunity to implant the soul of 100 venomous insects into everyone's body and turn them into my puppets obediently? The people of the aristocratic families and sects who were sitting on the carved chairs all had gloomy expressions. They were ashamed and indignant. Jing Tianyi suddenly took a few steps forward and bowed deeply to Chu Xinyan. This Jing greets Alliance Master Chu. Chu Xinyan turned his head to look at him and said with a smile that was not a smile, what does Union Chief Jing mean? Marquis is a man of great talent and bold vision. How can I, Jing Tianyi, compare to him? The leader of the Demon Extermination Alliance should naturally be you, Marquis. In the past, this Jing had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai and offended Marquis. I hope that Marquis, a great person like you will not hold grudges against this lowly person and not bother with this lowly person. Jing Tianyi bent his waist and lowered his head. At this time, his expression was respectful and calm. There was no longer any trace of unwillingness. Even Mu Yan couldn't help but admire this flexible manner of doing things. Jing Tianyi, the Demon Extermination Alliance still needs your leadership. Only then can we truly wipe out the demons. I'm willing to follow the Marquis and serve you faithfully. For mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website of Self-Love. Chapter 3068. Remember Love Net will provide you with interesting reading. Chu Xinyan couldn't help but laugh when he saw Jing Tianyi's subservient appearance. A wise man submits to circumstances. I will naturally welcome a talent like Headmaster Jing. He placed a hand on Jing Tianyi's shoulder and said, "But aren't you afraid of being turned into a demon by pledging your loyalty to me?" Marquis must be joking. Jing Tianyi raised his head and revealed a disdainful expression. Who is the real demon? It's not important at all now. Because after today, the entire world will think that the unfettered 7 demons are demons that everyone should kill. The Marquis, on the other hand, is a great hero who single-handedly exterminated the demons and saved the world from a crisis. If anyone doesn't agree, then kill them until they agree. If anyone dares to resist, then kill them until they submit. Just as Marquis said, this is a world where the strong prey on the weak. The winner is king and the loser is a bandit. If Marquis wins, you will be the founder of a new dynasty. You will be the second monarch in the history of the Shuzhen continent. Chu Xinyan was stunned at first, then his eyes lit up. Ha ha ha, Headmaster Jing is indeed a smart person. Don't worry, as long as they are loyal to me, I will not mistreat them after everything is done. His gaze swept across everyone present. The same goes for all of you. As long as you listen to me and help me kill the unfettered 7 demons, you will all be meritorious subjects. Otherwise, this will be your fate. Everyone's gaze once again fell on the bloody corpses in the center of the square. Some people were frightened and angry, but some people's minds began to move. We are willing to follow Marquis and kill the unfettered 7 demons. Marquis is wise to see through the true colors of the demons. Today, killing them is for the sake of the people. It is our honor to be able to help Marquis. In the chaotic tower, the devastating fallen army, and the Liangshan army, were trembling with anger. They had used all their strength to help Jun Imo Xia and the unfettered 7 demons clear their grievances. But these people had twisted the truth for their own interests and for a little threat. Xiao Yunchuan sneered, "The world is bustling for profit, and the world is bustling for profit. What's so strange about that? To put it bluntly, they don't care whether Jun Imo Xia is a demon or not. They just want to kill them. Damn it, let's fight them. That's right. I won't allow them to hurt Jun Imo Xia even if I lose my life." Most of the soldiers in the 3 armies were hot-blooded young men. At this moment, he was so angry that he couldn't hold it in any longer and was about to rush out. However, just as they reached the entrance of the chaotic tower, they heard the melodious sound of a zither. The young girl's voice was sonorous and unquestionable. "All of you are to stay in the chaotic tower. Without my orders, none of you are allowed to come out." The one who spoke was clearly a young girl. However, the originally restless crowd in the chaotic tower suddenly quietened down, and no one dared to take a step outside. In terms of strict obedience, this was comparable to a well-trained army. These people actually trust Mayan so much and listen to her words. Chu Xinyan shook his head in admiration as he approached the chaotic tower. "Mayan, this Marquis rarely admires someone. You are the first." At this time, the sun was high in the sky. The scorching sun scorched the earth. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 3069. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Even if they were cultivators, after the frightening fight just now, many of them were covered in sweat and looked battered and exhausted. However, the young girl in front of him was dressed in snow-white robes from beginning to end, and her features were as beautiful as a painting. The corners of his peach blossom eyes curled up slightly, revealing a disdainful, unlazy smile. It was as if they had become a completely different world from the chaotic and disastrous 100 Disaster City. Chu Xinyan greedily sticks out his tongue and licks his lips. This Marquis has always been unwilling to give those who don't know what's good for them a second chance, but you, Jun Mayan, are an exception. This Marquis can give you another chance. As long as you're willing to hand over the chaotic tower, hand over the other members of the carefree sect, and obediently follow me back. This marquis can guarantee that I will let you and the mob behind you go. Furthermore, when the marquis ascends to the throne, there will definitely be a place for you among the concubines. Chu Xinyan said, excitedly waiting for Mu Yan's reply. He believes that with June Mayan's intelligence, she must know what choice is the best for her. However, the reply he got was a light chuckle from the girl. Mu Yan looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. Chu Xinyan, is it your old face that's like granite that gave you the courage to make such a request? Pfff ha ha ha, he wants June Imosia to be his concubine. Is that old bastard crazy? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? God, I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. It can't be helped. You heard it too. They ate their own children. What did that mean? There would be no more descendants. An old bastard with no children, no face, and no skin, it's normal for him to have some problems in his brain. Ha ha ha, I've heard of toads wanting to eat swan meat, but I've never heard of maggots in a manure bucket being qualified to dream of eating swan meat. Within the chaotic tower, the Liangchen Great Army, and the devastatingly beautiful city army, after being stunned for a moment, immediately exploded with a world-shaking ridicule. They might not be good at fighting and strategizing. But when it came to quarreling, they were practically invincible. As a matter of fact, even someone as shrewd as Chu Xinyan had a sinister look on his face after being scolded. He could no longer suppress his crazed anger. Good. Good. June Mayan, since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, then don't blame me for being impolite. He waved his hand and said sternly, bring him here. In the demon-slaying great hall came the sound of whipping, followed by a shout, move faster. Didn't you hear Master Ho's order? What are you waiting for? What followed was the sound of heavy breathing and sluggish footsteps that were getting closer and closer. Mayan's heart tightens all of a sudden, her eyes staring straight ahead without blinking. Soon, 3 stooped figures entered her sight. All of them had white hair and wrinkled faces. All of them staggered and had no spiritual energy left. They were like cripples. Meanwhile, the woman following behind the 3 of them was still using the whip in her hand to whip them again and again. Rather than saying that these whips were used to drive him away, it was better to say that they were purely used to vent and abuse him. Whispers could be heard coming from within the chaotic tower. Everyone was asking who those 3 old men were. Mu Yan's pupils suddenly constricted. It was as if something had ruthlessly pierced through her heart, causing her to be in so much pain that she could barely breathe. The woman holding the whip slowly walked forward, revealing a malicious smile to Mu Yan. June Mayan, you probably can't recognize these 3 people, right? Don't be anxious. I can introduce them to you one by one. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 3070. Remember LoveNet, providing you with interesting reading. The woman grabbed the first old man's hair and forced him to look up. Only then did everyone realize that the person was an old woman with a wrinkled face. This is Ning Yaoguang, the former chief of the Yaoguang branch. I'm sure Miss June is familiar with this name, right? Whoosh! All the Starry School students in the chaotic tower were stunned. Ning Yaoguang. That was their chief. How was this possible? How did Yaoguang become like this? The woman used the barbed whip in her hand to hit the old woman's wrinkled face. In an instant, blood splattered everywhere. Don't think that this woman is old and ugly now. Back then, she had a foxy face and specialized in seducing other people's husbands. Ha ha ha, Ning Yaoguang, back then in the Ning clan, you were just a lowly concubine's daughter. How could you be so outstanding in all kinds of competitions and seduce people? Kong Yuanzhou stared at the woman holding the whip and suddenly said in a low voice, "She is Gong Shuqin, Ning Jinqiu's wife. She is also the only tribulation cultivator in the Ning clan other than Elder Qin." Mu Yan pressed her fingers on the strings and exerted force, making an ear-piercing sound. Gong Shuqin laughed loudly. After laughing enough, she stared at Mu Yan viciously. "Jun Mayan, you killed my husband and made me lose my true love. Today, I will let you have a taste of regret and pain. Ning Yaoguang, this little bitch is a tutor in the Yaoguang branch, right? And this one, do you recognize him?" The second person's hair was pulled up. Starry School's current chief, Meng Baichuan. TSK, he's very protective of you unfettered seven demons. Shi Qing was even willing to be bait on the evil extermination platform, but he wouldn't even say one bad word about you. Ha ha ha, so this is what happened to her. As for the third person, I'm sure you are all familiar with her. Gong Shuqin pushed Meng Baichuan away and pulled the third person's hair. Compared to Ning Yaoguang and Meng Baichuan, who were only old and weak, this third person's face was covered in age spots. His teeth had fallen out, his hair was sparse, and his eyes were turbid and unfocused. His weak vitality seemed like it would disappear at any moment. TSK, I'm afraid that even Jun Mayan won't be able to recognize this disgusting appearance, right? Gong Xiuqin's smile was exceptionally cruel. This is Marquis Chu's favorite son, the only heir of the North Ding Manor. The Marquis treated him so well, but in the end, he disobeyed his father for you, so of course the Marquis should take care of him a little more, don't you think? Chu Tianyu. That person, who was so old that his face could not be seen, was actually Dragon Soar Academy's most magnificent and unparalleled genius, Chu Tianyu. Captain. The members of the Kirin team widened their eyes and rushed out of the chaotic tower without a care for anything else. You bunch of beasts, I'll fight it out with you. Kong Yuanzhou hurriedly reached out to stop them. Calm down. If you rush over now, won't you fall right into the other party's trap? Do you want the other party to take a few more hostages to threaten Miss June? The members of the Kirin team had bloodshot eyes, simply not listening to what Kong Yuanzhou was saying. That was the captain that they had been with day and night, that they had fought side by side for so many years. He was the belief and reliance of so many people in the Kirin team. But now, such a proud captain was actually being persecuted to such an extent. How could they endure it? Duan Wenbin disregarded everything and pulled out his sword, ruthlessly slashing at Kong Yuanzhou, who was blocking them. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zai.net. Chapter 3071. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Didn't Kong Yuanzhou feel pain and hatred at this moment? How was this possible? Chu Tianyu was once Longting's proudest student. That day in Divine Elephant City, if not for them leaving safely, how would Chu Tianyu have fallen into Chu Xinyan's hands? At this moment, Kong Yuanzhou really wanted to tear Chu Xinyan and Gong Shuqin to pieces. But he knew he couldn't. A lack of forbearance in small matters will spoil great plans. All of you, calm down. The pressure of the tribulation stage suddenly erupted. Kong Yuanzhou's voice was hoarse and his eyes were filled with tears, but he still shouted angrily. However, before he could reprimand her, they then heard Mu Yan's faint voice. Stop arguing, isn't this a good thing? What? Good news. The people of Longting were stunned. They looked at Mu Yan in disbelief, not believing that she would say such a thing. Kong Yuanzhou and Zhou Daoi also widened their eyes. But it wasn't because of what she said, but because he saw the young girl slowly stand up. No one had noticed it yet. Ever since Mu Yan saved Xingxiao Pang, she has been sitting not too far away from the chaotic tower, hugging her zither. No matter what kind of abuse and humiliation she received, no matter what kind of massacre she saw, she never moved half a step. But at this moment, she stood up. Junamos, yeah, how can you say that it's a good thing that our captain has been harmed like this? Mu Yan's line of sight falls on Chu Tianyo's face, which is full of wrinkles and age spots, and her eyes flash with a bright light. It's a good thing that he's still alive. As long as he was alive, there would be endless possibilities and hope. Ha ha ha, Jun Mayan, don't tell me you haven't heard of the saying, living is worse than death. Are you saying that being alive is a good thing? Alright, I'll let you see with your own eyes how they're tortured into corpses. Gong Xiuqin laughed. Or are you trying to save these 3 pieces of trash from my hands alone? Jun Mayan, you little slut, don't be too arrogant. You're at the crossing tribulation stage, and so am I. You've only broken through a few hours ago, but I've already broken through 3 years ago. Even if it's the same tribulation, there's still a difference. The last word, don't, had just been uttered. Gong Xiuqin suddenly felt a cold light flash in front of her eyes. The young girl who had been standing in front of the chaotic tower had unknowingly disappeared. Gong Xiuqin was shocked and flung the whip in her hand without thinking. The spiritual power in her body surged, and the weapon in her storage ring, a dagger that shone with a faint green light, was also taken out. At the same time, Elder Qin, who had been sitting quietly at the side, also quickly pounced forward. During the battle on the northern continent, Elder Qin and Yun Zhaoxing had been seriously injured by the unfettered 7 sons. Yun Zhaoxing was still bedridden. However, Elder Qin dragged his frail body to the devil-slaying conference. Because he was not willing to let his illustrious reputation be ruined by a few immature brats. He wanted to see these 7 bastards die with his own eyes. Because of Chu Xinyan's schemes, there was no progress in the lengthy devil-slaying assembly. Whether it's Jun Mayan or her fellow apprentices, they're all still alive and well. Elder Qin was burning with anxiety, but he had no choice but to endure. And now, he finally had an opportunity. In order to save people, that slut Jun Mayan finally lost her cool, and went deep into the enemy's ranks. As long as he joined hands with the madam, the 2 of them at the crossing tribulation stage would definitely be able to avenge Master Ning Jinqiu, as well as himself. Snap! Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 3072. Gong Xiuqin's whip makes a loud cracking sound in the air. However, it's a carved chair made of wanluan wood that's broken. In the nick of time, Mu Yan pulls out an empty carved chair from who knows where to block it. At the same time, the sword aura, mixed with a biting cold killing intent, attacks once again. Gong Xiuqin sneers, and the whip in her hand lashes out again. At the same time, following the direction of the sword aura, the dagger dipped in poison in her hand is silently sent out. And from the corner of her eye, she naturally sees Elder Qin pouncing on her. A pincer attack from the left and right, sealing off all the escape routes, and then use the poison dagger to take this slut's dog life. Gong Xiuqin's face shows a sinister smile. But the next moment, her smile stiffens on her face. A trace of bone-chilling coldness had unknowingly wrapped around her neck. Then, boundless spiritual power is poured into the sword aura. Puff! Puff! 2 lines of blood violently shoot out from the center of the demon-slaying square. Gong Xiuqin and Elder Qin, one is holding a dagger dipped in poison, and the other is holding an iron claw, cold and dense, like a soul-stealing ghost that can take away a person's life at any time. However, at this moment, they can only cover their necks, letting the blood gush out of their broken blood vessels, letting their breathing stop, and unwillingly falling to the ground in despair. In front of them, the girl is holding a sword with both hands. Beads of blood are dripping from the tip of the sword, but her snow-white dress is not stained with a single speck of dust. Swimming dragon double slash, one-hit kill. The whole place is deathly silent. Soon after, a world-shaking uproar rang out from within the chaotic tower. Double killing a passing tribulation cultivator, a passing tribulation cultivator, Too fucking cool. There's no hope for Yi Liangqin. Great God Yi, we love you for 10,000 years. Who dares to compete with Qingqing? Who dares to compete with Qingqing? However, apart from the screams of the people in the chaotic tower, the entire demon-slaying square is still deathly silent. Even Chu Xinyan looks at the white-clothed girl with the two swords in disbelief, the veins on his forehead continuously throbbing. As for the other cultivators in the square, they were completely stunned. Killing a passing tribulation cultivator. They were two real tribulation-transcending cultivators. How could it be so casually killed by Jun Mayan alone? What they just saw, was it really not an illusion? Were they really not dreaming? Mu Yan doesn't care about everyone's reaction. After killing Gong Xiuqin and Elder Qin with the swimming dragon double slash, she didn't stop at all and helped Ning Yaoguang, Meng Baichuan, and Chu Tianyu up. A piece of charred wood fell out of Ning Yaoguang's arms. Su Yiluan's figure was faintly discernible, and his voice was also fragmented. It was obvious that he had suffered a fatal attack. Miss June, please save Yaoguang, save her. After saying this, Su Yiluan's soul seemed to be unable to hold on any longer and dissipated into the air. Hot tears fell from Ning Yaoguang's eyes, which were already like dead ashes. Su. Su, if you're dead, what's the point of living? Why don't we go to the Yellow Springs together and turn into ashes together, never to be reincarnated? She seemed to have experienced this kind of despair and sorrow a long time ago. At that time, there was a voice that gave her redemption. And now, that voice once again resounded in her ears. I can save him once, I can save him a second time. So, you have to live. Only by living can there be hope, only then can we be together for a long time. Chapter 3073. This voice is so young and immature, but it makes people unconsciously believe it. Ning Yaoguang closes her eyes, putting her whole body weight on that thin shoulder, and lets herself fall unconscious. Mu Yan no longer delays, carrying the three people on her back and retreating towards the chaotic tower. At this time, the one closest to her is Honglan. Seeing that she's about to leave, almost instinctively, Honglan pulls out a long sword from the solitary snow to block her. However, Mu Yan doesn't even look at her as she carries the three people on her back. With just a casual parry, she's pushed 30 feet away. Honglan feels the blood in her body churning, and blood almost overflows from the corner of her mouth. She barely stands firm, not letting herself reveal too much of a sorry figure. But her heart is already in a state of turmoil. As early as half a month ago, when the two met for the first time, Mu Yan was only a peak nascent soul cultivator, and she didn't put her in her eyes at all. But now, she's so strong that she can't even resist a casual strike. Mu Yan curls up her lips, looking at Honglan mockingly. It's the same tribulation, but there's still a difference. Relying on external things to temporarily gain strength, not only is it false, but one day, it'll be returned tenfold, 100-fold. This sentence was originally used by Gong Xiuqin to ridicule her, but now she's returning it to all the cultivators of the northern continent. Honglan's complexion is deathly pale, her whole body on the verge of collapse, while Mu Yan has already carried the three people back to the chaotic tower. Captain. Dean. These bastards, how could they do this to Dean Meng? Dean Yaoguang, Boo-hoo, Instructor Yao Guang, are you okay? Mu Yen sits down cross-legged, placing the Tian Mo Qin in front of her, and sternly says, "Go back to the chaotic tower." Everyone comes back to their senses and quickly retreats into the chaotic tower. Yes, we have Divine June. Divine June's medical skills are so amazing, he can definitely save them. But Captain, they don't have lifespan, so what if they don't have lifespan? The people of Yuanwu village lost their lives and became living corpses that are neither human nor ghost, but the Enchantress still saved us. There's nothing in this world that the Enchantress can't do. In the midst of everyone's anxiety and anticipation, the melodious sound of the zither rang out. Countless white specks of light surged out of Mu Yan's body from all directions, gathered together, and then poured into the bodies of Ning Yaoguang and the others. The benevolence of the saint was to transfer the qi of heaven and earth and one's own qi to the dying person. As long as it wasn't the angel's 5 decrepitude, she would naturally die of old age. With her current 3rd rank, saint's benevolence, even if the king of hell wanted to take her soul or take her life, she would definitely return it to her. He's alive. He's really alive. Did you see that? His hair turned white and his wrinkles started to disappear. God, what kind of miracle are we witnessing? Is this a doctor? This is clearly a god who can bring the dead back to life, a god who can control the life and death of the human world. Quite a few people couldn't help but rush out of the chaotic tower, crying and laughing as they kowtowed towards Mayan. Among them, the villagers of Yuanwu village were the most devout believers. They used the unique ritual of worshipping the gods in the northern continent, prostrating themselves on the ground and muttering their prayers. Even those cultivators who were threatened by Chu Xinyan and had no choice but to surrender also knelt down with a dazed and shocked look on their faces. Because this scene was really too shocking. Chapter 3074. This was a true miracle. And the girl who was giving fresh life to the old, withered flesh was the high and mighty God. She could save the world and benefit the people. Like the emperor 1,000 years ago, she could bring a new turning point to this increasingly cold and cruel cultivation continent. The sound of the zither slowly stopped. Ning Yaoguang, Meng Baichuan, and Chu Tianyu were unconscious, but their appearances were completely different from before. Looking at their rosy and smooth faces, everyone knew that these 3 people who had been on the brink of death had come back to life. June Mayan really created a miracle. She snatched back 3 lives from the hands of the king of hell. The people of Xingchen and Longting were overjoyed. But Kong Yuanzhou and the others were already covered in cold sweat, nervously looking at the girl in front of them with a calm expression. Could it be that no one has noticed that June Mayan's complexion is already as pale as paper? Did no one notice that her hands, which had just retracted from the zither, were trembling uncontrollably? No. There were still people who noticed. June Mayan, it's all thanks to these 3 pieces of trash that this marquis knows why you've been sitting in front of the chaotic tower, refusing to budge. Hearing this voice, Sun Yuanzhou's heart sank. He suddenly turned his head and saw Chu Xinyan slowly walking over with a sinister smile on his face. The chaotic pagoda's defense is very strong, but in the past, only a few hundred people could enter at most. Now, you have to squeeze in tens of thousands of people at once. As the master of the chaotic pagoda, it must be very difficult for you, right? Zhou Daoi could not suppress the panic in his heart and blurted out, Chu Xinyan, what nonsense are you spouting? Ha 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 ha. Looking at Executive Zhou's reaction, did I guess correctly? Chu Xinyan has an insolent smile on his face, but his eagle-like eyes are firmly staring at Mu Yan. At this moment, there was no longer any greed or desire in his eyes, only fear. Killing 2 tribulation-transcending cultivators in one move. At this moment, Chu Xinyan realized that this woman was too dangerous. If she was allowed to live, even if her cultivation was crippled, she might not be able to find a chance to make a comeback. If the weeds are not removed by the roots, they will grow again when the spring breeze blows. June Mayan must die, and the Xiaoyao school must be destroyed. Fortunately, this stupid woman actually cared about the life and death of a group of trash. Chu Xinyan's eyes were cold, and his smile was cruel. He raised his hand and waved. All members of the Demon Slayer army, listen up. As long as someone comes out of the chaotic tower, kill them all without mercy. Understood. Then, it's time for all the patriarchs and sect masters seated here. This Ho will not request for everyone to kill June Mayan, as long as you maintain a distance from this woman and attack the chaotic tower from afar with all your might. This should be achievable, right? The people on the carved chairs looked at each other with hesitation. Chu Xinyan sneered, as long as you participate in the attack, this marquis can guarantee that after the slaughter of the demons is over, the goo poison in your body will be removed. Otherwise, you should have seen the result of having your soul devoured by hundreds of goo. As soon as he said that, all the cultivators didn't dare to delay any longer. They quickly took out their magic treasures and attacked. June Mayan's valiant fighting strength made them not dare to go forward, nor were they willing to risk their lives to fight. However, if it was only to ensure his own safety, he would naturally be able to attack the chaotic tower from a distance. However, they also had doubts in their hearts. The strength of the chaotic tower's defense was something that all the cultivators of the Purple Cloud realm had witnessed for themselves over the past year. So what if they attacked with all their might? Chapter 3075. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, providing you with exciting reading. If the defenses of the chaotic tower could be broken so easily, this treasure wouldn't have stood in the Divine Elephant City for so long without being invaded. The effect of a dozen tribulation cultivators attacking together naturally couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. In a split second, the entire demon-slaying plaza is filled with blade lights and sword rays. The powerful pressure and the aftermath of the attacks make the surrounding low-level cultivators cover their heads and scurry away. Only the people hiding in the chaotic tower are still unharmed. See, didn't I say it earlier? The defense of the chaotic tower is like an iron bastion. How can this bit of attack have any effect? However, at this moment, the girl sitting in front of the chaotic tower suddenly spits out a mouthful of blood. Xue Xiaoguang laughs heartily. It works. Attacking the chaotic tower really works. This slut has indeed been using her soul to maintain the chaotic tower to accommodate so many people. Attacking the chaotic tower is the same as attacking Mayan. No matter how powerful she is, or how heaven-defying her talent, she's dead for sure this time. Kong Yuanzhou, Zhou Daoi, and the rest have ashen faces, their eyes filled with despair. There's still a long time before the time that Miss June mentioned. Under such attacks, how can Miss June hold on? Seeing that the attacks are becoming more and more fierce because Xue Xiaoguang exposed the truth, Kong Yuanzhou suddenly bellows, charging out recklessly. Could it be that they could only rely on Miss June's protection to survive? Could it be that they have to watch a girl who's not even 20 years old use her slender shoulders to take the lives of tens of thousands of people, while they look on with folded arms? He, Kong Yuanzhou, is also a tribulation-passing cultivator ranked 8th on the Azure Sky list. The long sword is unsheathed. Kong Yuanzhou's figure has already arrived in front of Xue Xiaoguang and Su Qianquan. However, before he could attack, Miao Yu and Xiahou Zun seemed to have expected it, already sandwiching him in the middle, one in front and one behind. Miao Yu chuckles, Elder Kong, this servant has been thinking about you ever since I let you escape last time. This time, your life is mine for sure. On the Azure Sky list, Xiahou Zun is ranked 5th, higher than Kong Yuanzhou. Now, with Miao Yu, whose strength is not inferior to Xiahou Zun's and whose methods are treacherous, how could Kong Yuanzhou be his match? The three of them had only fought for a short while, but Kong Yuanzhou was already in a perilous situation, his body covered in injuries. In front of the chaotic tower, Mu Yan straightened her back and pressed her hands on the zither. The zither trembled lightly, emitting a buzzing sound. But this time, she didn't play again, nor did she activate her Shen musician skills. Wave after wave of attacks landed on the chaotic tower from the 10 or so transcending tribulation experts. With every strike, the chaotic pagoda did not budge at all, standing tall as before. However, her divine soul seemed to be bombarded again and again, and torn apart again and again. That kind of pain was not something a mere physical pain could compare to. However, in this life, and in her previous life, Mayan had already experienced too much pain that was 100 times more torturous than this. To others, it would be like being burned alive by 1,000 cuts, but to her, she didn't even frown and forcefully endured it. Whoosh! An ear-piercing music rang out, followed by a swift and fierce sword gleam. In fact, the speed of these sword beams isn't that fast. With Mayan's current cultivation, she only needs to casually dodge and block to dissolve them. However, there was a poochie sound. Fresh blood stains her snow-white clothes. The young girl's figure trembled violently. Soon after, when the crossing tribulation cultivators launched another wave of attacks on the chaotic tower, she spat out another mouthful of blood. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 3076. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. June Mayan can't fight back now. Yeshua seems to have discovered a new continent as she screams in excitement. She has to protect the chaotic tower, so she can't use her spiritual power. She can't even move. Saintis, quickly kill her now. Yeshua's words make Shui Zhaoguang, Su Qiankuan, and the others, who are attacking the chaotic tower, pause. Then, their eyes light up. A tribulation-passing cultivator who can't move or use spiritual power, no matter how strong she is, isn't she still at the mercy of others? And this might be the best opportunity to kill June Mayan. Almost in an instant, half of the attacks on the demon-slaying square change direction and focus on Mayan. Clang! Mayan strums the zither, and the sound wall of divine hand weaves the heavens, shrouds her whole body. But the powerful firepower covers her. She spits out another mouthful of blood, almost unable to stand. Slut, go to hell. Su Shiqing roars, suddenly appearing out of nowhere. The immortal binding rope in his hand flies out, binding the immobile Mayan tightly in an instant. Ha ha ha, I caught this slut. I'm the one who killed June Mayan. Marquis, you have to remember this. Su Shiqing laughs wildly as he pulls out the sword at his waist and ruthlessly thrusts it towards Mayan's chest. But in the next moment, his vision blurs and he already lost his target. Su Shiqing is startled and wants to retreat, but he hears a cracking sound in his ears. Then, he completely loses consciousness. Mayan throws Su Shiqing's corpse to one side and holds the 7 absolute sword. Looking at the people surrounding her, the corners of her mouth slowly curve into a bloodthirsty smile. Want to kill me? Let's see who will be the first to fall. Shui Zhaoguang and the others meet that pair of evil and disdainful peach blossom eyes. They are startled and unconsciously take a few steps back. Then, when they react, they fly into a rage. In order to protect the trash in the chaotic tower, this slut can't even use 10% of her strength. We have so many high-level cultivators, do you think we're afraid of her alone? That's right, even if we have to exhaust her, we have to exhaust her to death. Within the chaotic tower, everyone could only watch as the frail figure outside the tower fought alone. Fresh blood dyed his white robe red. 10, 20, 30, more and more cultivators surrounded her. They were clearly all dregs that were inferior to her, but they left scars after scars on her body. She was the Lord of 6 stars, the devastatingly deadly killer, the youngest tribulation-passing cultivator in the history of the cultivation world, and the most talented genius. If she wanted to, these dregs wouldn't even have the qualifications to touch the corner of her clothes. But now, her life was slowly being drained away by them. And all of this was for them. In order to save their lives. We seem to have done something wrong. Bei Kuei Xiangnuan could not hold it in any longer and cried aloud. We should not have come. If there were less tens of thousands of people from the devastating city army, and the Liangchen Great Army, the pressure on Mu Yan to protect the chaotic tower would not be so great. Not only did their arrival not help Almighty Yi, but it also forced her to exhaust her last bit of vitality to protect their lives. Many people could not help but burst into tears when they heard that. It was guilt, remorse, and helpless despair. Clap. Xiao Yunchuan suddenly put away the folding fan in his hand, his face revealing his trademark playboy smile. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 3077. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. It's not my style to let beauties fight for their lives outside while I hide in the tower to live an ignoble existence. Goodbye everyone, this young master is going to fight alongside Mei Yanyan. What a joke. Xiao Yunchuan had just waved his hand and was about to rush out when he saw Qinda and the others rushing over to stop him. Are you not afraid of death? Let's all go together. That's right. Let's go together. Weren't we prepared to risk our lives for Jun Mo Xia before we stepped into the transmission array? In the end, Jun Mo Xia sacrificed his life to protect us. How can such cowards be worthy of the title of Jun Mo Xia's #1 Legion? Easy Bro shouted, get out of here. God Ye's #1 Legion must be our Liang Qin. Wasn't it just going out to fight those bastards? Do you think we're afraid? Liang Chen's army immediately responded. Kill those motherfuckers. Let's charge out together and kill those bastards. Isn't it just 100,000 demon soldiers? Do you think we're scared of you in terms of numbers? Zhou Daoit said anxiously, don't be rash. That's 100,000 well-trained army, it's definitely not something that you stragglers can resist. Miss June has risked her life to guard the chaotic tower until now, all because she doesn't want you to sacrifice yourselves for no reason. Just wait a little longer, wait until... Do you want us to watch Jun Mo Xia fall in front of us? Bei Kuei Xiangnuan wiped away her tears. Her almond-shaped eyes were as red as a rabbit's, but the words that came out of her mouth were firm and resolute. Before we came, we, the Liangchen army, had made an agreement. Even if I have to bleed every drop of blood in my body, I have to tell everyone that Goddess Yi is not a demon or a murderer. She is the best person in the world, and she is the faith that we will never regret in this life. Easy Bro grabbed North Sunflower Xiangnuan's hand and smiled. Now, we are just going to fulfill the promise we made before we came here. Of course, we still have to prove that we're God Ye's #1 Legion, isn't that right, brothers? Yes. Under the auspicious hour, there were no more kings. Liang Chen's army is invincible. We are willing to open up new lands for our king and cut through all obstacles. We will never allow anyone to bully our gods and defile our faith. Brothers, let's kill our way out. Devastating army, can you allow this arrogant Liangchen army to steal our limelight? Absolutely not. Alright, then follow me and kill our way out. Whoever dares to harm our great god Jun, will fight them to the death. Zhou Daoi and the others were anxious, and they wanted to rush over to stop him. At some point, Murong Shui and the others, as well as the teachers and students of the Soaring Dragon's army, had followed behind the beautiful City Army and the Good Dawn Army. The number of people in the Carefree Army was smaller than that of the Magnificent Army and Liangshan Army. Most of them were originally students of Longting. Therefore, after entering the Chaotic Tower, he did not participate in the quarrel between the devastating City Army and the Liangshan Army. At this moment, this small group of people had become incredibly large after merging with the Dragon Soaring Sect students and teachers. Gigantic and courageous. Wenbin, Shui, don't be impatient. Miss June has arranged everything. Go out, Murong Shui laughed, then interrupted Zhou Daoi. Dean, even if Miss June really does have a trump card in her hands, how can we just watch as she fights and bleeds for us while you hide in the Chaotic Tower and enjoy the fruits of others' labor? Chapter 3078. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. As you can see, the devastatingly beautiful army and the Liangshan army have lower cultivation than us, and their teamwork is not as good as ours, but they still rushed out without hesitation. We are the Soaring Dragon. How can we lose to them? After persuading Zhou Daoi, Murong Shui raised her right hand and clenched it into a fist. She asked the crowd behind her, everyone, once we leave the Chaotic Tower, we'll be facing the most tyrannical armored guards and the north-ranking Marquis army. Are you all afraid? We have long wanted to avenge the destruction of Dragon Ascension. It's just a life, what's there to be afraid of? We are the Soaring Dragon, and also the Carefree Army. We can't let those two armies steal our limelight. Xiao Yao, who else but me can do it? Be free and unfettered, dominate the world. We'll kill our way out. For Longting, for God Jun, for the 7 sons of the Xiaoyao sect. We'll kill them all. Longting isn't afraid of death, but are we Starry School cowards? On the long table, Xing Little Fatty raised his arms and shouted, don't forget, only we, Constellation, are the true disciples of the Xiaoyao 7. Only we, Constellation, are the family of the Xiaoyao 7. Even those hypocrites from the Demon-Slaying Alliance know about this. That's why they captured us to threaten us. That means that we are the most important people to the June family. So, if you want to fight for the great god June, do you think our Constellation family will miss out? A roar immediately came from the Chaotic Tower, of course not. The Xiaoyao 7 sons are our family, and the great god June is our star's great god. Whoever dares to harm the great god June, will fight them to the death. The previously crowded Chaotic Tower suddenly became empty. Even the pitiful Yuanwu village's villagers with low cultivations rushed out without a care for anything. Only the unfettered 6 sons on the 2nd floor were still meditating in seclusion. Zhou Daoi and the other elders and mentors of the Dragon Ascension Academy looked at each other, and a relieved smile slowly blossomed on their faces. Everyone, even those little fellows, have decided to go all out. How can we old farts continue to hide in there? Ha ha ha, isn't it just the Iron Armor Guards, isn't it just North placating Marquis Imo soldiers? To put it bluntly, they're just a bunch of low-level cultivators. Let's go out and kill 10 of them to break even, and kill 100 of them to make a profit. Perhaps it was because he had lost too much blood. Mu Yan feels her body going cold. The wounds that were originally burning with pain seemed to have started to become frozen and numb. After dodging a sword beam that came from the left, Mu Yan felt a sharp pain coming from his left leg. Her body swayed, and she could barely stand. The 7 absolute swords are ruthlessly inserted into the ground. Mayan bends one knee, half kneeling on the ground to keep her body from falling. June Mayan can't hold on any longer. This time, she really can't hold on anymore. Excited and nervous voices came from the crowd in front of him. Even though they were shouting, they still didn't dare to step forward. Shui Xiaoguang said angrily, "Why are you dragging your feet? Didn't he see that she couldn't even stand up? Why aren't you rushing over to kill her? Or do you want to die under the torture of the 100 soul-crushing insects?" Looking at the girl being besieged once again, and finally falling into a real dead end, Shui Xiaoguang, Su Qianquan, and the others all show expressions of excitement and fear. They were excited because they could finally kill Jun Mayan, kill this evildoer who was like an immortal god of death. But they were afraid because this woman was really too scary. Magnificent medicine, gold medal special agent, transmigrating to become the good-for-nothing third miss of the godly doctor's mansion. Watch how she controls the universe, and the song Marriage in Troubled Times, from the God's Domain's Hades chart. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 3079. He couldn't even use 10% of his strength. He could only defend and not attack. But as soon as the battle began, she recklessly killed the Killing Luo sect leader Lei Hong, who was the best at setting up formations. This thunderous strike not only destroyed Shui Xiaoguang and the others' plan to use the formation to grind her to death, but it also shocked them. Who had ever seen such a monster? He had just reached the crossing calamity stage, but he could already kill cultivators who were at the crossing calamity stage as easily as chopping vegetables. Therefore, Shui Xiaoguang and the others were afraid and terrified. They no longer dared to rush to the front line. They were afraid that if they were not careful, they would end up like Gong Xiuqin and Lei Hong, becoming souls under this woman's sword. But it was still all right. Everything was over. Even if Jun Mayan was a god, she wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. A sinister smile appeared on Shui Xiaoguang's face. However, in the next instant, a world-shaking roar rang out from within the chaotic tower. "Brothers, charge! Protect the great god Jun. Whoever retreats is a turtle's grandson. Liangqin's army is here. Demons and ghosts, come out and die. Teachers and students of the Soaring Dragon Academy, follow me, Duan Wenbin, and march forward bravely. I vow not to retreat until I die." Mu Yan suddenly raised her head, looking in disbelief at the crowd swarming out of the chaotic tower. "Who allowed you to come out? Cough, cough, cough. Go back. All of you go back." Xiao Yunchuan opened his folding fan and smiled. "Mei Yan, we can't listen to you this time." Seeing that the girl's clothes had been completely dyed red and her lips had turned purple, Xiao Yunchuan suddenly tightened his grip on the handle of the umbrella. His voice became difficult and hoarse. "We clearly agreed that this time it would be our turn to guard you. This young master can't experiment." Xiao Yunchuan managed to hold it in. The other members of the devastating city army, and the Liangqin army, saw Mu Yan at such a close distance, and they couldn't help but burst into tears. Many people did not understand. They had only met by chance, and some did not even know each other. Just for a mere illusory idol, how could they go this far? He had sacrificed his family, his life, and everything to support them. That was because they did not see how good this person was. Jun Amos wasn't the great god Jun, but them. Old Ma raised his head and laughed. "This sandstorm is too strong, and it got in my eyes. Great god Yi, we're all quite useless and can't help you at all, but at least don't let us become your burden. I never thought that this group of trash would actually be willing to throw away their lives for you." Chu Xinyan faintly said. "Since that's the case, then let's kill them all." With a light order, the 100,000 iron armor guards and the north-ranking Marquis army that had been standing outside the demon slaughtering square like wooden stakes immediately readied their weapons and charged towards the center of the square like lightning. Even the transcending tribulation stage cultivators shuddered when they saw the 100,000-strong army. With their cultivation, it was a simple matter for them to defeat an army of thousands of men and horses. However, it was almost impossible to completely kill them. This was because a cultivator's spiritual energy would eventually dry up, and so would his mind and body. Under the attrition of 100,000 soldiers, even a cultivator at the peak of the tribulation realm would eventually become an ant under the iron hooves of tens of thousands of soldiers and be exhausted to death. It was precisely because he had the backing of 100,000 cavalrymen that Chu Xinyan dared to be so arrogant. Seeing that the army has arrived, Mu Yan is anxious. Chapter 30-80. Mu Yan staggered a few steps forward, blocking everyone's path. She suddenly raised her voice. "You, staying here will only be a hindrance. I want you all to return to the chaotic tower, do you hear me?" Murong Shua smiled lightly. As the saying goes, soldiers fight soldiers, generals fight generals. Leave these small fries to us. These scum are your opponents, great god Jun. Mu Yan reached out to grab them, but Murong Shua had already led the soaring dragon people past her. "Great god Yi, we're going. Liang Chen's army will not disgrace you even if we die. Madam Enchantress, you're an immortal from heaven, how can you hurt yourself for us mortals? Please don't be so restrained, go punish those who blasphemed you." Mu Yan's body swayed, feeling a roar in her head. There was no one in the chaotic tower, so she could quickly circulate her spiritual energy to heal her injuries. However, even if her strength was recovering bit by bit, she couldn't stop these people from sacrificing their lives for her. Why was it that she had clearly become stronger, but she still couldn't protect the people she cared about? A hand rested on her shoulder. Mu Yan turned and smiled kindly at Zhou Daoyi. Soaring Dragon was founded by the emperor 1,000 years ago, adhering to the school's motto, mediocrity, harmony but difference. Be a model, be aware of shame and strive for self-improvement. Nurture the righteousness of heaven and earth, nurture the loyalty of youth. I, Zhou Daoyi, have been the dean of Soaring Dragon for 37 years, mediocre and useless. I've always felt that I've let the emperor and Soaring Dragon down. But today, I no longer have any regrets, because Soaring Dragon was able to raise these children and witness the legend of the Carefree Seven. I, Zhou Daoyi, have no regrets in this life. I, Chu Zongxing, also have no regrets. I, Qi Ri, also have no regrets. The dean, mentors, and elders of Soaring Dragon all rushed towards the mighty demon slayer army. In the distance, shouts, screams, and curses came one after another. In the sky, Elder Kong, who was facing Xiahou Zun and Miao Yu, was seriously injured and on the verge of death. Mu Yan closed her eyes and let out a low laugh. The Tian Mo Qin appeared in front of her at some point, as if responding to her current mood, making a humming sound. In her Dantian, spiritual energy, profound energy, immortal energy, and devil energy, these four types of energy were madly surging without any regard for anything else, and they began to rapidly repair her battered body. Jing Tianyi yelled, "What are you waiting for? She's recovering her spiritual power, kill her." Xue Xiaoguang and the others were shocked, and their expressions changed. Mayan, who can't use 90% of her spiritual power, is already that strong. If she were to recover, the consequences would simply be unimaginable. Kill. No matter what, kill this demoness immediately. Boom. Countless blade lights and sword auras descended, but this time, they were unable to harm Mayan in the slightest. Instead, they were directly sent flying. The sound of the zither circulates in the air, and a fluorescent protective shield wraps around Mayan. Divine hands weave. It was the same sound barrier as before, but it was 100 times stronger. This is the true power of a third-star god musician of the 7th rank. Xue Xiaoguang and the others turned pale. At this moment, there was a loud bang. Something was heavily smashed into the center of the square. Then, she heard Miao Yu's giggling voice, "Jun Mayan, don't be in such a hurry to heal. Open your eyes and take a look, your good mentor, good Dean, is about to die." The one who was thrown down was the already dying Kong Yuanzhou. Chapter 3081. Oh, that's right, it's not just old Kong who's going to die, there's also your dog-like followers. Are you really not going to take a look? Mu Yan suddenly opens her eyes, a biting cold murderous aura overflowing. Xue Xiaoguang and the others retreat in fright. Soon after, they discover that the energy within Mu Yan's body is in disorder. The wounds that had already healed split open again, and blood gushes out. Ha ha ha, Sect Master Miao is wise, Jun Mu Yan really can't let go of those dogs of hers. Don't forget that the 6 demons of freedom are still hiding in the chaotic tower to cultivate. Her primordial spirit is still connected to the chaotic tower, so once her mind is in disorder, she will naturally be unable to take care of herself, and might even suffer from cultivation deviation. Kill. Demon Slayer army, kill more quickly, let these mobs let out mournful screams. Ha ha ha, I'm sure that these screams will be the most beautiful music in Jun Mu Yan's ears. However, after these words are said, there are suddenly no more screams and wails on the battlefield. This group of lowly cultivators, fighting for themselves, have no power to resist a real army. They are destroyed like melons and vegetables. However, even if their hands and feet are broken, even if their chests are broken, even if their intestines are rotten, they still firmly clench their teeth, unwilling to let out the slightest moan. Because they don't want that person to hear. Because they don't want that person to save them, to protect them, to encounter danger again. Mu Yan closes her eyes, the long sword in her hand slowly descending. Chu Xinyan, make them stop, we'll discuss the conditions again. Chu Xinyan seems to have expected that she would make such a decision. Hearing this, he is not surprised at all. Instead, he lowly laughs, Miss June, wouldn't it be better if you had been so obedient earlier? If it was someone else, this Marquis would not have the patience to give her chances again and again. But for Miss June, it's all worth it. As he speaks, Chu Xinyan raises his hand. The 100,000 troops that were slaughtering below immediately stop their movements. However, they are still standing in a position to firmly surround Liang Chen's army, not giving them the slightest chance to escape. As long as Chu Xinyan gave the order, a massacre would descend once again. Chu Xinyan revealed a satisfied smile and said unhurriedly, "All right, this Marquis has already satisfied Miss June's request and made them stop. Now it is time for Miss June to show her sincerity." Mu Yan said indifferently, "The chaotic tower is yours. I'll take everyone away. From now on, we won't interfere with each other. Is Miss June joking with me?" Chu Xinyan's face sank. "After I kill you, the chaotic tower will be mine." Mu Yan sneered, "You'll have to kill me first. Or, I'll have a match with Marquis now and see who dies." Chu Xinyan's face was sinister and his voice was sinister. It seems that Miss June has not learned her lesson. Since negotiations have broken down, you should take a good look at how your loyal lackeys will die one by one in front of you. Mu Yan slowly says, "Chu Xinyan, do you really think that no one can break your bullshit 100,000 cavalry? Who can break it?" Chu Xinyan arrogantly waved his hand. "Just based on the motley crew under you. Ha ha ha." As he spoke, the 100 transmission arrays arranged by Jing Tianyi lit up from time to time. Mu Yan's gaze fell on the transmission array. She saw cultivators walking out in 2s and 3s. Chapter 3082. The video Jing Tianyi had arranged to broadcast in Tingguang ruins was suddenly cut off. Those who were not present at the scene were naturally curious about what had happened at the foot of the Phoenix Heaven mountain range. Some people suppressed their curiosity, but there were others who couldn't help but want to come over and see what was going on. Therefore, from the moment the teleportation array was set up, the number of cultivators coming out never stopped. However, as soon as these people came out of the teleportation formation, they saw the tense situation in front of them and the thick smell of blood in the air. He was so scared that he wanted to run away. But how could the North placating Marquis' army allow them to leave? So they were like those rogue cultivators who had joined in on the fun, becoming pawns in the North placating Marquis' net. At this time, Chu Xinyan saw that Mu Yan was looking at the transmission array. He couldn't help but sneer. What? Hoping for another group of you to support me? Ha, this kind of trash, even if there were twice as many of them, they would only be dead souls under the blades of this Marquis army. However, this time, it wasn't the protection of Jun Mayan or Yi Liangqin. It was a third-rate sect in the Xian realm. When they saw the scene at the foot of the Sky Phoenix Mountain, they did not panic. Instead, they flew in front of Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi with flattering smiles. My giant stone sect heard that Marquis Chu and Headmaster Jing were exterminating demons, so I specially rushed over, hoping to do my bit. Chu Xinyan calmly waved his hand and someone immediately came forward to arrange the people of the giant stone sect. It was obvious that Chu Xinyan was already used to such a situation. Because besides joining in the fun, a large portion of the cultivators that had come to the foot of Phoenix Heaven mountain range wanted to fish in troubled waters and seize the opportunity to fight for the future of their sects and clans. However, Chu Xinyan naturally would not pay too much attention to such a third-rate family. The one he truly fears and values is only Jun Mayan. He could either kill this woman and get rid of any future troubles. Or he could completely cripple her, subdue her, and make her his. However, no matter which one it was difficult to achieve. However, the harder it was to achieve, the more challenging and interesting it would be, wouldn't it? Chu Xinyan licked his lips and was about to speak. Suddenly, a violent energy fluctuation came from the distant sky. Immediately after, a huge black spaceship flew over from the southern sky. When they flew closer, the crowd discovered that in the center of the hull, there was a huge, MO, character. Someone let out a cry of surprise. Is that the MO, mercenary group? Mercenary group. Haven't you heard of the name, MO? In recent years, he had become famous in the Min LV, Azure Cloud, and Azure Blue realms. As long as they accepted a mission, they would never fail. Furthermore, as their reputation grew, the scale of the MO, mercenary group also grew larger and larger. The only drawback is that the mercenaries in Inc. generally don't have high cultivation, most of them are at the gold core stage. Even if they're only at the gold core stage, it doesn't affect their strength at all. Everyone in the MO, mercenary corps had a tacit understanding with each other. 10 Jindan stage cultivators were already able to compete with the same number of Yuanying stage cultivators. Moreover, the more people there are, the more powerful their strength will be. In this half a year, the mission of MO has already begun to enter the Purple Cloud domain. Right now, the famous mercenary groups of the Purple Cloud domain have all been overshadowed by them. Everyone's discussion reached Chu Xinyan's ears, and he couldn't help but look at the slowly descending spaceship. Chapter 3083. A mercenary group with Aurus Core Stage as the main members, yet they had the fighting strength and imposing manner of an army. This made Chu Xinyan a bit more interested in them. He signaled his men with his eyes. If the MO mercenary group that had come to seek refuge with them was truly capable, then there was no harm in treating them better. Your subordinate was about to receive the order. Suddenly, another 2 energy waves came from the sky and the ground. On one side was a teleportation array that suddenly lit up. On the other side, another spaceship was rapidly approaching. It was completely different from the mercenary group's pitch-black ship. This spaceship was almost pure white, and there were silver engravings on the body of the spaceship. Overall, it looked plain but elegant. At the bow of the ship, there were 2 words, Great Void. Hiss, is that the Great Void Valley's ship? I really didn't expect that even the Great Void Valley came to side with North Placating Marquis. Hasn't the Great Void Valley always been in the Azure Blue Realm? In the past 2 years, the Great Void Valley's development had been extremely rapid. The private soldiers in the valley were very powerful, numbering in the tens of thousands. Additionally, there were also quite a number of cultivators proficient in array formations. Due to that, the entire Great Void Valley became like an iron bucket. I think it's probably because he's developing too well that the Valley Master of the Great Void Valley isn't satisfied with staying in a corner of the Azure Blue world. That's why he wants to take advantage of the demon slaughtering meat to form a connection with North Placating Marquis. Only then would he be able to soar to greater heights. However, there were also cultivators who could not help but shake their heads. The mercenary group and the Great Void Valley did not know the true face of the North Placating Marquis. Compared to the unfettered 7 sons, who were currently being hunted by demons, Chu Xinyan was the true demon. Just look at the demon soldiers who had already lost their humanity to know what would happen to these people who came to seek refuge. While they were discussing, the teleportation formation on the hillside suddenly exploded with a loud sound. Everyone was startled. They no longer cared about the mercenary group and the Great Void Valley, and all looked toward the source of the sound. Dust was flying everywhere on both sides of the mountain, and there were countless fluorescent lights flashing non-stop. Jing Tiany's face was filled with shock as he muttered in a low voice, the energy was depleted, and the array disk was destroyed. No, it's not that the array disks are destroyed, it's that all the array disks are reconstructing themselves. The teleportation discs that the Cleansing Pavilion had set up on the 2 sides of the Demon Slaughter Plaza were large-scale teleportation discs that could teleport hundreds of people at a time. But at this moment, the 2 sides of the hills were flashing with light that was 100 times more dazzling than ordinary large-scale teleportation formations. Following that, silhouettes began to appear out of thin air on the hillside. 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. The crowd grew larger and denser. However, no one cared about how the teleportation formation was reconstructed or how it could teleport thousands of people at once. Everyone's gazes couldn't help but focus on the beautiful women leading the 2 sides. Pavilion Master Ruyan. Dr. Feng Haitang. Why are the 2 of them here? No, they didn't just come by themselves. They clearly brought all the forces under their command here. Are they also here to rely on North Placating Marquis? What Pavilion Master Ruyan? What Dr. Feng Haitang? Who are you guys talking about? Why haven't I heard of it before? Even if you haven't heard of Pavilion Mistress Ruyan, you should have heard of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, right? You're talking about the company that just rose to prominence in the past 2 years and acquired Drunk and Dreaming, Gathering Immortal Tower, Cloud Lake, Ring Color Pavilion. Chapter 3084. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. The legendary Heavenly Secrets Pavilion that specializes in buying and selling intelligence and has its intelligence network spread throughout the entire cultivation continent. Is there another pavilion of heavenly secrets in this world? This pavilion Lord Ruyan is absolutely a genius in managing intelligence. It has only been 2 years since the Pavilion of Heavenly Mysteries achieved such glory. If it had a little more time, it would be unimaginable. Nothing in the world would be able to escape the Pavilion of Heavenly Mysteries' eyes. Someone once said that anyone who could subdue the pavilion of heavenly secrets would have the entire cultivation world under their control. Another person interrupted. It is true that the pavilion of heavenly secrets is powerful, but the longevity hall, operated by Dr. Feng Haitang, is not the slightest bit inferior. You all know how scarce doctors are in the cultivation continent. Moreover, even those famous doctors are mostly inherited from the cleansing Le Pavilion. But this longevity hall is different. They were founded in the insignificant green cloud world. In a short 2 years, they have established a medical team of over 1,000 people. Although the cultivation of these doctors in Changxing Hall is not high and their talents are not outstanding, their medical skills are not the least bit inferior to high-level doctors. Longevity Hall doesn't only have doctors. When it comes to special talents, talisman masters, formation masters, alchemists, and even musicians, Longevity Hall has recruited and nurtured quite a number of them. However, they are mostly active in the Azure Cloud realm and the Azure Blue realm, so very few people in the Purple Cloud realm know of their deeds. While everyone was talking, the Inc. mercenary group and the Great Void Valley spaceships slowly landed. The hatch opened, and a dense crowd of people poured out of the spaceship. Although there were many of them, their movements were orderly and orderly. They even seemed to be more well-trained than the iron armor guards. As more and more people walked out of the cabin, the cultivators in the square were left dumbfounded. The mercenary group and the Great Void Valley had a total of 50 to 60,000 people. Furthermore, these were not ordinary 50 to 60,000 Golden Core cultivators, but two majestic and well-armed armies. If they suddenly charged down, the lethality would not be much weaker than the Demon Slayer army. But after this army of tens of thousands landed, they didn't immediately set off for the Devil Massacre Square. Instead, 2 people walked out from the crowd. One of them was a burly man with a murderous aura. His face was covered in fine scars. The other one was dressed in white and had black hair. He was as gentle as jade, but his eyes contained indifference and coldness. Very quickly, someone recognized them. One of them was the leader of the Inc. mercenary group, Yan Haotian, and the other was the Valley Master of the Great Void Valley, Bai Chen. After the 2 of them walked out of the crowd, they didn't bring any guards with them. They flew towards the demon-slaying plaza alone. On the other side, the secret pavilion and the longevity hall didn't have tens of thousands of people. However, there were close to 10,000 of them in total. Ru Yan and Feng Haitang also left their subordinates on the hillside and floated down alone, landing on the Demon Massacre Square. The actions of the 4 clearly expressed their sincerity in seeking refuge. On the plaza, the forces that belonged to the Demon Extermination Alliance were naturally overjoyed and relieved. What did it mean for such a powerful force to seek refuge with them? This meant that the Demon-Slaying Alliance was, in the eyes of the world, the righteous side. No matter what the truth was, once the massacre of the unfettered 7 devils was over, they would be heroes who saved the world. The benefits and power that came with it would be immeasurable. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 3085. Remembering LoveNet in 1 second, providing you with interesting reading. Trapped in the army, the city-toppling army and the Liangshan army, whose lives were in danger, felt their hearts sink bit by bit. They were already in a desperate situation. Now, Chu Xinyan had such great help. Would they really have a chance to live? Only the Starry School students could not help but glance at the 4 people walking onto the square. Were they thinking too much? Why do these faces look so familiar? Yan Haotian, Bai Chen, Ru Yan, Feng Haitang. Seeing the leaders of the 4 new forces walk towards him without hesitation after landing on the square. The arrogance and condescension on Chu Xinyan's face turned into a satisfied smile. Seeing this, the subordinate beside him immediately said flatteringly, "The Marquis is wise. You are even famous in remote places like Qingyun and Songlan. That's why these people came to join us." Xue Zhaoguang looked at the neat and murderous troops on the hills around him with greed and jealousy. If his Xue family could have such power, why would they not be able to dominate the world? However, when he thought of how vicious and merciless Chu Xinyan was, he hurriedly retracted this thought. Changing to a flattering smile, he said, "I congratulate the Marquis. You have gained a lot from this demon-slaying conference." Chu Xinyan's lips curled up and he walked forward slowly. He planned to lower himself and personally welcome the leaders of the 4 new forces. He, Chu Xinyan, had never been stingy with giving more benefits to people with ability and value, making them wholeheartedly loyal to him. "I am deeply grateful that everyone is willing to come from afar and contribute to the demon-slaying conference." Chu Xinyan walked up and said elegantly, "The unfettered 7 demons have bewitched people and resisted stubbornly, causing the demon-slaying alliance to lose many righteous people. With the addition of a few of them, the battle situation would definitely stabilize quickly. This is a great fortune for the Righteous Path Alliance." Chu Xinyan's subordinate immediately came forward with a smile and said politely, "Friend Yan, Valley Master Bai, Pavilion Leader Rian, Dr. Feng, the Marquis is very happy that you have joined the demon-slaying alliance. Please take a seat over here." This subordinate was referring to the 10,000 round carved wooden chairs at the core of the Demon Massacre Plaza. Because of the siege on Mayan, several masters and sect masters have died, leaving the carved chairs empty. This decision shocked everyone present. It was fine if Lan Etienne, Su Mingyue, and Murong Yen were forced to do so. However, many of those who joined the Demon Extermination Alliance did so for the sake of benefits and a bright future. At this moment, seeing that 4 immature, low-grade cultivators wanted to sit on equal footing with them and even wanted a share of the spoils after the battle, their complexions became somewhat ugly. However, when he looked at the majestic army on the hillsides in all directions, he felt a chill run down his spine. These patriarchs and sect masters swallowed the dissatisfaction in their hearts. This was a cultivation world where the strong preyed on the weak. Strength represented everything. However, he could not help but feel jealous. These country bumpkins from the azure blue domain are probably going crazy with happiness now that North Placating Marquis has personally welcomed them and given them a place in this devil-slaying gathering. Wait, why don't they have any fear on their faces when facing a peak tribulation passing cultivator? Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 3086. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, to provide you with wonderful reading. Is he so happy that he's stupid? Under everyone's envious, jealous, and hateful gazes, there's also a bit of astonishment. They see Yan Haotian, Bai Chen, Ru Yan, and Feng Haitang scatter to the sides, bypassing Chu Xinyan. Then, they completely ignore him, brushing shoulders with him. Chu Xinyan's hand has already stretched out, wanting to support the 4 people who are kneeling and paying their respects, to show his courtesy. Then, the hand froze on the spot. What's going on here? Their mouths widen in disbelief, and their eyes are filled with shock. Just like that, they watch helplessly as the 4 people completely ignore North Ding Ho, Chu Xinyan. In the end, they go straight to Jun Mayan. Go to Jun Mayan. What's going on? Yan Haotian is the first to slowly kneel down. His right hand clenches into a fist and presses against his chest, pressing against his heart. No one can see that there's an unknown flame mark slowly flashing on his chest, waiting to burn. A chaotic, vague, hoarse, but resolute voice resounds throughout the entire square. Ink Camp Commander Yen Haotian pays respect to Miss. The Ink Camp is now organized into 29,700 people, and 29,700 people are present. We are willing to obey Mrs. Command. Yen Haotian's voice pauses, unable to continue because it's too vague and hoarse. He had his tongue cut off a long time ago. Later, even though he received the Art of Magic Yellow treatment, in the end, he still couldn't make a perfect and clear voice like an ordinary person. But today, he wants to clearly say what he wants to say word by word, in front of everyone under the heavens. He wants to tell this master before him that he's willing to loyally follow for a lifetime. Tell her that he hasn't let her down. From today onwards, you will lead the Ink Camp, join the major mercenary corps of the Shojin continent, and even form the strongest mercenary corps. I want you to become a sharp knife walking in the darkness, invincible, invincible. He wants to tell her Miss. The Ink Camp did it, he, Yen Haotian, did it. They finally had the right to stand behind the young miss with dignity and become her most solid backing, not a burden. The hoarse voice once again rings out. It's still muddled and indistinct, but it's resolute and decisive, each word sonorous and sonorous. It's been 697 days since we received the order. The Ink Camp from top to bottom never slacked off, and now we've finally completed our mission. Request, to return to the Nether Flame Army. This sentence seemed to be a command, a signal. On the eastern hillside, the troops lined up in front of the black spaceship uniformly kneel on one knee, right hand on the left side of their chest, and shout in unison, the Ink Camp requests to return to the Nether Flame Army. Under their right fists, above their hearts, there was a flame symbol that was slowly lighting up. Ru Yen wiped away the tears on her face and was the second to kneel down. The same posture, the same hoarse voice, and the same joyful and resolute voice resounded between heaven and earth. The commander of the Heavenly Secret Battalion, Ru Yen, greets young mistress. The Heavenly Secret Battalion has 6,080 people, and 6,080 people are present. We are willing to follow young Miss's orders. In a trance, Ru Yen seems to have seen the distant past, when she met that godlike girl in the ghost city. Later, by a freak combination of factors, she followed at her side. From then on, the sky and earth turned upside down, the blue sea turned into mulberry fields. Along the way, there's been laughter, there's been sorrow, there's been parting, there's been reunions, but there's only one thing that hasn't changed. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please come to Zii. Chapter 3087. She wanted to have the qualifications to stand behind this person. The secret battalion wanted to have the qualifications to stand behind this person. From today onwards, you will lead the secret battalion and rely on Tianguang ruins to infiltrate every industry in the cultivation continent. I want you to build a complete and detailed intelligence network and make the secret battalion the strongest spy organization in the entire cultivation continent. Ru Yen closed her eyes, allowing her scalding tears to fall, allowing her heart to violently beat in her chest. She raised her voice and loudly said, "Since the beginning of the mission, it has been 639 days. The Tianji Battalion has already completed their mission. We now request to return to the Nether Flame Army." On the northern slope, everyone from the secret pavilion, who had concealed their true appearances but wore the same uniform, knelt down in unison. The secret battalion requests to return to the Nether Flame Army. Under the cover of their fists was a flame symbol that slowly lit up. Feng Haitang was the third to kneel. Commander of the Longevity Battalion, Feng Haitang, pays respect to Miss. The Longevity Battalion has 3,360 people and 3,360 people present. We are willing to obey Miss's orders. Feng Haitang had already combed her hair into a woman's bun. She no longer had the indifference and sadness in her eyes. She couldn't imagine what kind of fate she and Yen Haotian would have if they didn't meet Mississippi. Therefore, even if she didn't have enough talent and ability, she would still desperately manage the Longevity Battalion. She wanted to be with the Longevity Battalion and follow Miss for a long time. It has been 639 days since we received the order and the Longevity Battalion has completed its mission. We now request to return to the Nether Flame Army. On the western slope, all the cultivators from the Longevity Hall knelt down on one knee and placed their fists on their chest. They shouted in unison. The Longevity Battalion requests to return to the Nether Flame Army. Finally, it was Bai Chen. He held his sword in his left hand and slowly knelt down on one knee. He placed his right hand on his chest and placed it on his heart. Commander of the Great Void Battalion, Bai Chen, pays respect to Miss. The Great Void Battalion has 40,000 people and 40,000 people present. We are willing to obey Miss's orders. A young man in white had flowing black hair. His features were picturesque and his eyes were like black obsidian. However, they seemed to be dim and couldn't reflect the beauty of the mountains. The young man's voice was warm and clear, deep and pleasant to listen to, but it was always calm, empty and lonely. However, at this moment, when he raised his head to look at the white-clothed, blood-soaked young lady, his eyes still stirring, his voice still trembling. Bai Chen, I hope that you can kill your enemy, survive, and become the leader of the Grand Void Battalion. From today onwards, you will lead the Grand Void Battalion and gather the idle forces of Min LV, Azure Cloud, and Azure Blue realms to form a regular army. I want you to build the military fortress of Death Flame Valley with the existing soldiers of the Grand Void Camp as the core. It will also be the most important cornerstone of Death Flame. Ever since Lin Xidong's death, he had been like a walking corpse, drifting in the chaotic world. He no longer had any nostalgia for the world. It was this person's trust and entrustment that gave him the meaning to continue living. It was this person who had personally established the Nether Flame Army, allowing him to have a new home. Even if the thought of Lin Xidong still made his heart ache, he was still willing to step on the thorns to live. Because he had regrets in this life, but he hoped that his miss and his friends would have no regrets in this life. Because he wanted to light up the Nether Flame with his own hands and crown her with thousands of sparks. It has been 639 days since we received the order and the 40,000 people of the Grand Void Battalion have completed their mission. Now we request to return to the Nether Flame Army. Chapter 3088. On the southern slope, the most magnificent legion knelt down on one knee without any hesitation, bowing to the only faith they held fast to in their lives. Grand Void Battalion requests to return to the Nether Flame Army. Request to return to the Nether Flame Army. Return to the Nether Flame Army. Return to the Nether Flame Army. The thunderous voices resounded throughout the Demon Massacre Plaza and the entire Phoenix Sky Mountain range. The mountain breeze blew through his blood-stained hair and wet eyes. Mayan takes a deep breath. After a long while, she uses her spiritual power to transmit her slightly hoarse and trembling voice. Request received. The Ink Camp, the Heavenly Secret Camp, the Longevity Camp, and the Grand Void Camp, they are all permitted to return. She opened her hand, and spiritual power surged. A special black and red flame slowly appeared in her palm. The night of 639 days ago. She told these people that they could not go to the Purple Cloud world with her. From now on, they could no longer call themselves members of the Nether Flame Army. She said. This was the fire of the Death Flame. Let us use this as an agreement, as a sign, as a promise. No matter where Little Treasure and I are, as long as we see the symbol of the Nether Flame, we will know that everyone is working hard, and that you are by our side. When the day comes when we spread the flames of the Nether Flame to every corner of the cultivation continent, the Nether Flame Army will reappear in the world. Today, the flames of the death flame finally ignited in her palm once again. On the hillside, the 80,000 Nether Flame Army soldiers released their fists from their chests and puffed out their chests proudly. On the front lapels of their clothes, a black and red flame symbol suddenly lit up, like a ball of flame quietly burning. From the day these people joined, they were told over and over again. They were not the MO mercenaries, the Divine Secret Battalion, the Longevity Hall, or the Great Void Valley. They only have one master, June Mayan. They only had one name, the Nether Flame Army. The flame in their chests, hidden in the shadows and invisible to others, was their soul, their unchanging faith. The entire mountain seemed to be covered by this black and red flame. 80,000 people knelt on one knee and shouted in unison. The ink camp of the Nether Flame Army greets the Miss. Nether Flame Army's Great Void Battalion greets the Young Mistress. Nether Flame Army's Secret Battalion greets Young Mistress. The Nether Flame Army's Longevity Camp greets Miss. They had once said that one day, they would stand behind Miss with dignity and let everyone in the world know who the master of the Nether Flame Army was. They once said, the hellfire will never be extinguished. There would come a day when it would set the three realms ablaze. And now, they had finally done it. From today onwards, the flames of the Nether Flame will be reignited, and the name of the Nether Flame Army will resound throughout the world. Mu Yen hooks up her lips, revealing a brilliant smile. Tears fell from the corners of her eyes, but there was no sadness, no loneliness, only warmth that never faded from beginning to end. In this life, she was no longer a lonely and despairing beast who was besieged on all sides. She has her beloved Di Mingju and Xiao Bao. There were fellow apprentice brothers and sisters who accompanied each other. She had an army that supported her without any regrets. And this group of family members who never left him. She had never been fighting alone. A low voice spat out from between her lips and teeth, as if she was telling them, and also as if she was telling herself. Nether Flame Army, welcome, home. Readers who want to participate in the book reviews and comments section, punch in, kick the list, and subscribe activities. Remember to add the Book Friends group 190149989. Chapter 3089. Ah. No wonder I thought these four people looked familiar. When Starry School was attacked by the Tian family, wasn't it the Nether Flame Army who came to save us? I remember too. There weren't that many of them back then, but they all called themselves the Nether Flame Army and called her Miss June. Ha ha ha, one is bound to have good fortune after surviving a great disaster. Who would have thought that Starry School would be saved by the Nether Flame Army for the second time? Xiao Yunchuan and the rest turned around stupidly and looked at the Starry School students who were shouting excitedly. At this moment, whether it was the devastating Fall Army, Liangshan Army, or the Unfettered Army, they all felt like they were dreaming. What had just happened? A large group of cultivators landed. An army of 80,000 people suddenly surrendered to Chu Xinyan. Just as their hearts sank and they thought that they were going to die with their idols, a voice suddenly rang out. The 80,000 soldiers from 4 different forces all knelt to their god June. Wait! Kneeling to god June. And calling god June Miss. Shit 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 shit. So this Nether Flame Army, all 80,000 soldiers, are Miss June's subordinates. It's over. This time, I really feel that our Liangshan Army's #1 supporter is going to be gone. Boo-hoo, what kind of deity do I worship? She can draw talismans, make pills, heal, set up formations, fight, and summon 80,000 celestial soldiers in times of danger. It's all worth it to be a member of the devastating Fall Army. It's really worth it. Mu Yen shouted, Nether Flame Army, listen up. Yes. Ink camp surround the Iron Guard, Taishu camp attack the Northern Marquis Army, Tianji Camp support from the side, Longevity Camp enter the formation to rescue them and protect their safe retreat. Yes, miss. A tsunami of shouts rang out in unison. The 80,000 Netherflame army moved without any hesitation. Chu Xinyan and Jing Tianyi had yet to recover from their shock. Before they could give orders to the Northern Marquis Army and the Iron Guard, the 80,000 soldiers had already smashed their formation into pieces. By the time they reacted, Chu Xinyan's face was already so gloomy that it could drip water. He unwaveringly stares at Mayan. This is your trump card. Damn it. He should have known. June Mayan had been patiently sitting in front of the chaotic tower all this time, not resisting, not attacking. Was she really at the end of her rope? No. She was clearly waiting. When this 80,000-strong army was mobilized from all over the cultivation world. But why? How was that possible? He had operated in the Purple Cloud realm for so many years, yet he only had an army of 100,000. How old is this June Mayan? How could she control such a large force? Was this woman a human or a demon? Was it a demon or a god? Chu Xinyan gritted his teeth. Just with these low-level cultivators, the strongest of whom is only at the Golden Core stage. Do you really think you can defeat this Marquis' 100,000 demon-slaughtering army? Whether it was the Iron Armor Guards or the North-ranking Marquis army. At the very least, he was at the nascent soul stage. Under Chu Xinyan's command, the Iron Armor Guards and the North-placating Marquis army immediately began their counterattack. The situation was instantly reversed. The gap in numbers and cultivation wasn't something that the Netherflame army could make up for with just 2 years of rapid development. Chu Xinyan finally let out a long sigh of relief. June Mayan, do you see? No matter how much you struggle, it's just like hitting a rock with an egg. Chapter 3090. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Mu Yen smiles, her peach blossom eyes slightly raise, gleaming with light. Since the start of the battle, this was the first time she had released such an evil aura, such an unbridled smile. His slender fingers pressed on the strings. His figure suddenly soared into the sky and floated in midair. Whether or not it's like throwing an egg against a rock, we'll only know after the fight. In an instant, his 10 fingers danced on the zither strings, leaving a snow-white afterimage. The majestic sound of the zither flowed out like a golden spear and armored horse. Graceful feather, activated. Echo recovery, activated. Cloud sky net, activated. Countless Shin musician skills turn into specks of energy that fall on the battlefield. He might not have felt anything at first, but as time went on, he felt a chill run down his spine. The strength of the Netherflame army was getting stronger and stronger. They were clearly only at the Gold Core stage, but the spiritual power in their bodies seemed to be inexhaustible. On the other hand, when the zither music entered the ears of the Iron Armor Guards and the North-ranking Marquis, it was as if something was drilling into their dantian and meridians, making their spiritual power unable to circulate smoothly, and the movements of their limbs became more and more sluggish and heavy. Chu Xinyan felt as if all the blood in his body had rushed to his head. He had actually forgotten one thing. June Mayan is the best support musician in the whole continent. But even if he was an auxiliary musician, wasn't that too unbelievable? That was a battlefield where 180,000 soldiers were crossing swords. How did she manage to control the state of an army all by herself? Cleansing Pleasure Pavilion. Chu Xinyan suddenly thought of something. He abruptly turned his head to look at Jianlan. What are you still standing there for? Doesn't the Cleansing Joy Pavilion claim to be the #1 musician sect in the cultivation world? Don't tell me that June Mayan is the only one in control of the battle. Go! All the musicians in Mu Le Pavilion, attack together. This hoe doesn't believe that June Mayan really has an invincible golden body. At this time, Chu Xinyan no longer had the amiable expression he had when he was facing Yuan Sherlan. He has already been tortured to insanity by Mayan's endless methods, repeatedly turning defeat into victory. Yuan Sherlan bit her lips, her face revealing an embarrassed and angry expression. She had her pride. She wants to kill Mayan, but she also wants to defeat her fair and square. All the musicians of Mu-Le Pavilion suppressed June Mayan's assistance. This was a clear and thorough admission that she, Jianlan, was inferior to June Mayan. But in the end, Honglan gritted her teeth and shouted, "All supporting musicians of Cleansing Joy Pavilion, follow me." A moment later, countless figures flew into the air. With Bailan in the lead, the 4 saintesses of Cleansing Joy Pavilion and all the deacons followed behind her in an arc. Each of them was holding a musical instrument in their hands. Bo Lan holds the ice and snow solitary in her hand. She has a complicated expression as she looks at the blood-stained girl in front of her. "June Mayan, don't blame me. There shouldn't be a me in this world, and there should be another you. You can roam freely in the world, but why did you barge into the northern continent? You can receive the favor of any man in the world, but why does this person have to be young Master Yun Shao? So June Mayan, I'm sorry, but you must die." The solitude of ice and snow was slowly played. This was like a prelude. Following which, Ye Yun, Ye Shui, Ye Feng, and Ye Yu's performances immediately followed. Then, all the musicians of Mu-Le Pavilion joined in. In a split second, the soul-stirring sound of the ensemble resounded through the sky. Jing Tian saw that Chu Xinyan's expression was still gloomy. He couldn't help but smile confidently and say, "Marquis, don't worry. This set of 8 notes repetition is the secret technique of my Mu-Le Pavilion. Once it is played, how difficult would it be to support 1,000 soldiers and 10,000 horses?" Mobile users, please browse and read. Chapter 3091. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. And the battle situation was just as Jing Tianyi expected. The originally slow and clumsy Demon Slayer army seemed to have been injected with a cardiac stimulant, and immediately launched a swift and violent counterattack. But for some reason, Chu Xinyan's heart felt uneasy. Is June Mayan really that easy to suppress? Even if it's one person against hundreds of assistant musicians. As if to confirm the conjecture in his heart. Seeing this scene in midair, the corner of the girl's mouth hooks up into a shallow smile. That smile is not a mocking smile, not a show of strength, but a genuine arrogance that disdains everything. Chu Xinyan's heart thumps. The next moment, he feels a chill that makes his scalp go numb. Then, his throat seems to be choked by someone. His life and death are hanging in the palm of someone else's hand. Chu Xinyan stands stiffly in place. Suddenly, he seems to have thought of something and looks up. Along with him, Jing Tianyi also looks up. 4 domains. How is this possible? On the Shuzhen continent, without a cultivator who has ascended to become an immortal, how could someone master 4 domains? Chu Xinyan is going crazy. The fear of this woman that has been hidden in the depths of his heart can no longer be contained, and it crazily surges up. At the foot of Mount Feng. The music of Mu-Le Pavilion's 1,000-person ensemble gradually fades away. It's replaced by the sound of the zither, like striking gold and striking stone, reverberating between heaven and earth, reverberating on the battlefield. Bang! Her face is deathly pale, and she shakily raises her blood-stained hands. The string of the solitary snow and ice breaks. The music behind her becomes chaotic and harsh in a split second. Lost. Haha, this time, she has truly and thoroughly lost. No, in fact, ever since she met June Mayan, she has never won. Utterly defeated, and even lost her nature. Seeing a blur in front of her, she could no longer control herself. She spits out a mouthful of blood and faints. Kill. Kill her. Listen to this ho's order, kill June Mayan at all costs. Otherwise, don't blame this ho for letting you die under the soul-crushing 100 insects. At this time, Chu Xinyan has completely thrown caution to the wind. What benefits after the war? He doesn't want to care about the losses in the fight. He only wants Mayan's life. This woman was too scary. If he couldn't kill her now, the cultivators on the Demon Massacre Square looked at each other. In the end, they still flew forward. There were more than 20 Tribulation Transcendence cultivators, and some of them were even high-level cultivators. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that such a lineup was unparalleled in the cultivation world. No matter how strong June Mayan is, it's impossible for her to be a match for so many of them. That's right. They didn't need to scare themselves. Not only did June Mayan have to assist them, she also had to defend the chaotic tower, and she also had to fight against them. No matter how monstrous she was, she still had to die. However, in such a desperate situation, the girl in front of him chuckled. June Mayan, you're already at the end of the road, what are you still laughing about? Mu Yan slowly shakes her head. Of course I'm laughing at you guys, forever unable to grasp the right opportunity. Now, the ones who are at the end of their rope are you. What nonsense are you talking about? Heh, you want to kill the unfettered 7 devils. Do you really think I'm the only one in the Xiaoyao sect? WH, the last trembling syllable had not been uttered. Suddenly, a glaring light resounds from the center of the Demon Massacre Square. The entire Feng Tian mountain range seems to be shaking. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zii. Chapter 3092. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. Countless energies revolve around the chaotic tower, forming a huge vortex. Immediately after, 6 figures fly out and stand beside Mayan. Seeing the 7 people standing side by side, everyone feels their vision go dark, almost fainting. The hands holding the magic treasures can't help but tremble violently. Yun Ruhan, Qin Zhou, Chu Moli, Ling Yuma, Ling Yuxing, Luo Yu. They're awake. Didn't they want to go into seclusion for a day and a night? Why did they come out now? And the cultivation of these 6 people, peak of leaving body realm. In just one day, they've already broken through to the peak of leaving body realm. Mayan chuckles. Did you really think that I was sitting in front of the chaotic tower and getting beaten up just to protect the people in the chaotic tower? She's using her own soul origin to nourish the 6 brothers. This shortens the time it takes for them to absorb the energy in their bodies by 2 times. From the beginning, Mayan knew that with her strength alone, no matter how strong she was, it would be impossible to fight against dozens of tribulation cultivators, a vast army of thousands of men and horses. From the beginning, she's been waiting, enduring. Waiting for the Nether Flame army to assemble. The second-class carefree 6 sons have finished their seclusion. The third-class Chu Moli's arrangements have come into effect. Now, the first 2 turning points that she's been waiting for have finally arrived. And the situation will also completely tilt towards their side. The 6 people don't look at Chu Xinyan and the others. Instead, they look at their little junior sister with heartache. Even though the young girl is currently in high spirits and full of smiles, just looking at the white clothes that have long been soaked in blood. One can only imagine what kind of danger and fierce battle she went through alone just now. And at such a time, they couldn't accompany her by her side and fight together with her. Little junior sister, Mayan bursts into laughter, interrupting their words. No need to say mushy words. I'm risking my life to help my senior brothers break through, not so that you can stir up emotions. Or is it that everyone's breakthrough this time wasn't good, so you want to say a few words to muddle through? To win this victory, to make these dregs pay the price, it's not enough to rely on me alone. The 6 people stare blankly at first, then they can't help but laugh. Their breakthrough this time wasn't good. How could this be? The people of the Xiaoyao sect always did things their own way and acted recklessly. At this moment, he was even more confident and arrogant than usual. Luo Yu giggled and said, "Aren't these people clamoring to kill the unfettered 7 devils? Let's show them just how earth-shattering the alliance of the 7 devils is." The 7 of them lined up and looked at Chu Xinyan and the others. Sharp killing intent was released silently. The tribulation-transcending cultivators, whose cultivation bases were far higher than theirs, couldn't help but shiver in unison. Yun Ruhan said coldly, "Are you having fun bullying the carefree sect's junior sister?" Bullying Mayan. Everyone present was about to cry. Who the fuck was the bully here? Jun Mayan alone is about to overturn their entire demon-slaying alliance, all right. Ling Yuma unsheathed her red lotus soul-stealing blade, her entire body surging with killing intent. Why are you wasting words with them? Just kill them all. With just the 7 of you. 1 tribulation transcendence and 6 peak nascent soul cultivators? The Xiaoyao sect is too arrogant. The strings of the zither were plucked at a moderate pace. Mu Yan raises her head and her gaze sweeps over everyone present. To deal with you motley crew, 7 people is more than enough. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Zai.net. Chapter 3093. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. As the words fall, the battle song rises. Big Dipper activates. 7 silver threads fly out from the Tian Mo Chin, connecting to each person of the Xiaoyao sect. With the 7 stars as the base, using musical notes to construct a spell formation, connecting every companion on the battlefield. Mayan is the heart of the formation, and every other point is the eye of the formation, complementing each other and forming a perfect combination, infinitely expanding the strength of the original 7 people. Mayan's hands strumming the strings are so fast that they almost leave afterimages. Yun Ruhan and the other 5 also move in an instant. 1 passing tribulation, 6 peak Yuanian cultivators. What kind of concept is it against more than 10 passing tribulation cultivators? If it was in the past, it would be no exaggeration to say that it's like an egg hitting a stone, an ant trying to shake a tree. Logically speaking, the Xiaoyao 7 should also be killed without any suspense. However, at this moment, all the people in the demon-slaying square who are looking up at this battle believe from the bottom of their hearts. The Xiaoyao 7 will win. Jun Mayan will win. Because they are already an invincible combination in this Shuzhen continent. And Jun Mayan is truly invincible, an unshakable king. Xiaoyao, who else but me can do it? Xiaoyao, dominate the world. It's not just who is the first to shout, but like a spark, it sets the entire Feng Tian mountain range ablaze. The battle continues for a very, very long time. From the scorching sun in the sky until the sun sets in the west. In the square, the battle between the Nether Flame Army and the demon-slaying army has already ended. With the help of Jun Mayan's music, the Nether Flame Army has won an overwhelming victory. Yes, in the process of fighting alongside the Xiaoyao 6, Mayan's assistance to the Nether Flame Army has never stopped. Heavy Phantom allows her to bring out her Shen musician talents to the extreme. It also completely reverses the situation that should have been hopeless. And those who are watching this battle, whether it's Mayan's side or those who have already defected to North Placating Marquis, none of them have left. That was because everyone knew that they were witnessing a great battle of epic proportions. What they want to witness is the birth of the strongest king that has never been seen before. No. I don't believe it. Chu Xinyan's hair is disheveled and his eyes are red as he glares at Jun Mayan. He glares at the man who defeated him among the Xiaoyao's 7 sons. The Chu Moli who is sitting in a wheelchair and looks like he could be blown away by the wind. At this time, Chu Xinyan was like an old man with 1 foot in the grave. His voice was hoarse and his face was full of wrinkles. He no longer had the vigor he had before. When the 80,000 Nether Flame army appeared, he knew that he would be defeated. However, he couldn't understand how he had lost to Chu Moli. Facing this crippled youth, he grabbed him by the throat, thinking that he would be able to devour all of the vitality in his body. However, the young man who had his lifeline suppressed only smiled shyly. Chu dragon, Chu as he is, he, the youth and the one. Chu, one. Chu wu, Chu spirit. Finally, Yao as, Chu ji Chu as he cut off his arm, he. Yen Shao Chin Chin. Demon. Chu, but the appearance that he has spent 300 years to maintain, the cultivation that he has accumulated, is completely destroyed at this moment. Amidst the heart-wrenching pain, he hears Chu Moli's lukewarm voice in his ear. I don't know where you learned a little bit of the curse, but using it on me. Chu Moli didn't finish his words. But Chu Xinyan sees the ridicule and disdain in the youth's eyes. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please come to Zii. Chapter 3094. Remember LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Jun Mayan. Chu Moli. Chu Xinyan looked around blankly. She saw that the 7 unfettered men's tribulation transcendence cultivators were either dead or injured. Jing Tianyi's Dantian was pierced by Yun Ruhan's sword. Miao Yu's head was cut off by Leng Yuma. Xiahou Zun was helpless under Ling Yuxing's absolute space domain. In the end, he was blinded by the demon-absorbing needles and fled in panic. As for Xue Xiaoguang, Su Qinquan, and the other cultivators of the Xiaoyao sect, they were crushed from the beginning. What kind of monsters were in the Xiaoyao sect? How could such a monster appear in the Shuzhen continent? Why did he want to hinder his ambition? Why? Why do you all want to stop me? Since you've shattered my dream, then let's all die together. I want all of you to be buried with me. Ha 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 ha. Chu Xinyan let out hysterical laughter. His entire person seemed to have gone insane. His divine sense was already surging crazily, controlling the Sumro Ring magic treasure 100 disaster city below. 100 venomous insects. He wanted to use the 100 venomous insects to kill everyone, even all the creatures on the road of Shuzhen cultivation. Since he, Chu Xinyan, would not have a good death, he would let everyone in the world be buried with him. Ha ha ha. Cry, wail, despair. None of you can escape. However, very quickly, Chu Xinyan's ferocious madness froze on his face. Because it was quiet down below. There was no movement at all. Where were the 100 venomous insects? Where were the miserable whales? On the contrary, the little bugs that were originally attached to Lan Yitian's hands had disappeared without a trace. What's going on? How could this be? Where are my 100 venomous insects? Why are there no more? Why are there no more? Chu Xinyan had completely gone crazy. He used his hoarse voice to shout over and over again. He rushed into the demon-slaying hall and used his bloody hands to dig up the bricks to search. He even used his head to hit the pillars and the broken divine punishment platform. He wanted to find his 100 venomous insects, but there was nothing. Nothing. Almost at the same time. Suddenly, someone in the Cleansing Le Pavilion screamed, "My cultivation base! Why did my cultivation base regress?" Ah, me too. How can I be at the stage of fasting? I'm a nascent soul cultivator. I'm a nascent soul. Who's trying to harm us? June Mayan, yes, it must be June Mayan who harmed us. That demoness took away our cultivation. Yuan Sherland awoke from a tearing pain in her dantian, and the first thing she saw was the shocked and despairing screams of everyone in Cleansing Le Pavilion. Soon after, she was shocked to find that her cultivation was no longer at the tribulation stage, but at the astral projection stage. How did she become a level 1 astral projection? Suddenly, as if she had thought of something, she took out the saint's stone from her sleeve with a trembling hand. The stone, which had originally been emitting a reddish-brown glow, was now completely devoid of any luster. With just a gentle pinch of her hand, the stone was crushed into powder and scattered down from her fingers. At this moment, she suddenly understood. It wasn't that someone had taken away their cultivation, but rather, it was that the abilities bestowed upon them by the Holy Stone had disappeared. Even the Holy Stone had shed all of its deceitful aura, turning into powder and disappearing without a trace. The temporary strength obtained by relying on external objects is not only false but also vulnerable. One day, it will be returned tenfold or 100-fold. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the Self-Love website. Chapter 3095. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. She suddenly remembers Mayan's words in her mind. Hong Lan lets out a low laugh, bitter and sorrowful, but inexplicably with a bit of relief. She raises her head to look at the exceptionally beautiful girl, wanting to ask her, "Did you take away the power of the Holy Stone?" But when the words are on the tip of her tongue, she feels that everything is superfluous. Don't cry. Hong Lan sternly shouts to stop the panicked crying of the people of Le Pavilion. If you lose your cultivation, you can cultivate it back. If you continue to make a fuss, do you want to end up like Head Jing and Yiyun? The crying slowly stopped. Everyone looked at Yuan Sherlan in panic. Hong Lan puts away the broken string of the solitary snow and snow, and says in a low voice, "As long as we are alive, Le Pavilion will exist. Nothing is a big deal. It's just starting from scratch. Iron Armor Guards, Deacon of Le Pavilion, listen up, we are returning to the northern continent." Saying that, she doesn't wait for the crowd to react, and has already soared to the sky. The people of Le Pavilion stare blankly for a moment, then fearfully look at the Xiaoyao 7 sons, and they also leave. From beginning to end, Hong Lan doesn't look back. But Mayan hears a soft, faintly discernible voice in her ears, "Thank you, and I'm sorry." Looking at the departing backs of Le Pavilion and the Iron Armor Guards, Mayan smiles and doesn't stop them. All the cultivators of the northern continent have high cultivation bases. But in fact, all of this is based on the illusion of the Nightmare Stone. Once the effect of the Nightmare Stone disappears, their power will also be like a mirage, vanishing like bubbles. Now, whether it's Le Pavilion or the Horton tribe, they are no longer a threat. As for the north-ranking Marquis' army, after Chu Xinyan was thoroughly defeated by Chu Moli, these originally unstoppable demon soldiers also seem to be drained of all their strength. They softly fall down, and eventually die. But in fact, their collapse has nothing to do with Chu Xinyan. The power of the Nightmare Stone has been drained away. The power of the north-ranking Marquis' army has also been drained in an instant. This is the third step of Chu Moli's plan. Drastic measures. Mayan already knew that the last method arranged by the abnormal third brother would not be simple. But she didn't expect him to be so powerful. This was truly removing the firewood from the bottom of the cauldron, eliminating all future troubles. The northern land of the Purple Cloud realm was no longer a threat. The North Ding Ho residence was completely finished. Chu Xinyan was still laughing crazily, roaring, trying in vain to find his final trump card, 100 venomous insects, in by Disaster City. However, his lifespan was draining faster and faster. Eventually, with just a light collision, the bones in his arms and legs would break. Teeth mixed with blood fell off one by one. His turbid eyes could no longer see anything. When he opened his mouth, what came out was no longer arrogant words, but a muffled old voice that was almost inaudible. The entire square was deathly silent. Only Chu Xinyan's cries and laughter could be heard. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but sigh. No one had expected that the Grand Devil-slaying conference would end in such a laughable manner. No one would have thought that Chu Xinyan, this ambitious and ruthless person, would end up in such a tragic and laughable state. Mu Yen stood at Chu Moli's side. She suddenly said in a low voice, "Third senior brother, I'm really curious. What method did you use to make Chu Xinyan's 100 Gu poison soul and demon weapon, as well as Mula Pavilion's nightmare stone lose effect at the same time?" Chapter 3096. 1 second. Remember, LoveNet, to provide you with exciting reading. Chu Moli curled his fingers and lightly tapped on the armrest of his wheelchair. Suddenly, his right hand reached down and grabbed a piece of paper. Mu Yen glanced at it and discovered that it was actually the 100 Ghosts Flying to the Moon painting that Chu Moli had previously drawn. It was just that the originally complete and clear painting had now become mottled, and there were obvious burn marks at the edges and center. Mayan exclaims in surprise, "How did this painting become like this?" She suddenly thought of something. Did this painting devour the power of the Nightmare Stone and the 100 Gu soul-sucking insects? Chu Moli didn't say anything. Instead, he stared blankly at the painting in his hand. His originally delicate and weak face became increasingly sickly, desolate, gloomy, and deathly pale. It was as if he was about to fuse with the painting. Third senior brother. Chu Moli suddenly snapped out of his daze. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He pinched the painting with 2 fingers, and a ball of flames suddenly sprang out of his fingertips, instantly burning the already tattered 100 Ghosts Flying to the Moon painting. Mu Yen is somewhat dumbfounded. Chu Moli raises his head and meets Mayan's eyes. The corners of his lips slowly curve up, revealing a gentle smile. "You want to know?" Mayan nods. Chu Moli lowered his eyes and said unhurriedly, "Unfortunately, this is a secret. A secret that no one could tell. Mu Yen, third senior brother, you were just a freak in the past. Had they all become childish perverts now? Third senior brother, sixth senior sister, what secret are you discussing?" Luo Yu came over curiously. "I want to hear it too." Chu Moli cast a sidelong glance at him, and was just about to speak. Lan Etienne, Su Mingyue and the others came forward at this moment. Their faces were full of guilt and awe. In front of these 7 youths who were only old enough to be their grandchildren, they were too ashamed to say a word. When the 7 unfettered disciples were besieged on all sides, they chose to watch with folded arms for the sake of the safety of their clans and loved ones. Now, he was saved because of the unfettered 7. For a moment, all sorts of feelings welled up in his heart, but he was too ashamed to face anyone. As for those independent cultivators and small sects and clans that came to join in the fun, they had long since fled dejectedly. Although they had escaped, many things had been deeply engraved in their minds. From then on, he became a legend that could never be erased. Su Zi lowered his head and cried, "Little sister, I'm really useless." "I didn't help at all." Su Zi didn't even get to say the last word. It was at this moment that the change occurred. Mu Yan's reaction is extremely fast. Before the crowd could react, she had already pushed Luo Yu and Su Zi out of the room. In the blink of an eye, the 7 Absolute sword flashed in his hand, and he hastily blocked the attack with a backhand. Boom! A deafening bang broke the peace and tranquility at the foot of Mount Feng Tian Shan that had been welcomed with great difficulty. Mu Yan's entire body flew backward for a good 300 meters before she managed to stabilize her figure in front of a mountain wall. A sword flickering with a cold light stops in front of Mayan, buzzing and trembling twice. In the end, it turned around and returned to a pair of slender, cold hands. Hiss! Many people gasped when they saw the young man holding the long sword. Young Master Jueming. It's young Master Suicide, Ning Su. Young Master Ning, please have mercy. Lan Etienne and the others were originally planning to leave, but when they saw this scene, they hurriedly flew forward and stood between Ning Su and Mu Yan. The unfettered 7 sons are not evil demons. This is all part of North placating Marquis and Jing Tianyi's scheme. Mobile users, please browse and read. Chapter 3097. Remember LoveNet in 1 second, providing you with wonderful reading. Young Master Ning, please distinguish right from wrong. Don't listen to the words of evil people and wrongly accuse good people. Today, Ning Su was wearing a black cloak and a bamboo hat. His appearance was the same as when they first met in Cloud-Piercing City. However, at this moment, everything had already changed. Ning Su's gaze was fixed on Mu Yan. He didn't even look at Lan Etienne and the others. He said coldly, "This is between me and Mu Yan. If you don't want to die, scram now." Su Mingyue said angrily, "If not for Miss June's help, we would have died under Chu Xinyan's plot. You don't kill the real evil demon, but insist on holding on to Miss June Ning Su. You're really a disgrace to your reputation as a demon slayer." That's right, Miss June is not an evil demon, but a hero who saved the Shuzhen continent. What right do you have to kill her? If Chu Xinyan's plot really succeeded, have you thought about what kind of suffering the entire Shuzhen continent would have fallen into? When the real evil demon was wreaking havoc, you didn't kill her. Now that everything has been settled, you're here to profit from the burning house. Ha, young Master Suicide, you're really a righteous swordsman who takes the lives of good people. Ning Su pointed his sword at Mu Yan. He turned a deaf ear to these people's words. Jun Mu Yan, whether you're demons or not, you know best. I've given you enough time to settle these mundane matters. If these people don't scram and interfere with our battle, don't blame my sword for being merciless. Su Zi said angrily, "How can you be so stubborn? So what if the Xiaoyao 7 are demonic cultivators? As long as you're doing something righteous, as long as you can save the world, even if you're a demon cultivator or a ghost cultivator, you're still 100 times better than those hypocritical and selfish cultivators. You said that the demons should be killed, but I think that people like you who vent their hatred on innocent people are the most disgusting. Zi. Don't say any more, step down. Little sister. Mu Yan said in a low voice, Netherflame Army, listen to my orders. Protect the cultivators in Fengtian mountain range and leave. No one is allowed to stay here. Miss, Great God June, we won't leave. There are so many of us, why should we be afraid of young Master Suicide? Yeah. Let's each spit a mouthful of saliva to drown her. Mu Yan said coldly, Netherflame Army, did you hear my orders clearly? Yan Haotian and the other 3 gritted their teeth. In the end, they bent their knees and bowed, understood. Even if they were unwilling, even if they were anxious and worried, with the 80,000-strong Netherflame Army in front of them, they had no choice but to leave with the spaceship no matter how unwilling they were. In next to no time, the bustling and clamorous foot of the heavenly Phoenix mountain range became empty, and all that remained were corpses scattered all over the ground. Mu Yan looked at the 6 carefree sons beside her, you guys should leave as well. This war belongs to me and Ning Su. When the two of them first met in Cloudpiercer City, they felt like old friends at first sight. Who would have thought that things would end up like this? But no matter what, the two of them needed a fight to the death to settle it. The corners of Chu Moli's lips curled up. He smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, we don't want to participate either. If we stay here, we might be able to collect your corpse. Get lost. Third senior brother, are you courting death? You actually dared to curse sixth senior sister. Heavens, as the witness, the cripple's words cannot be trusted. The last words carry no harm. The last words carry no harm." Mu Yan looked at her senior and junior brothers who were bickering and laughing. She smiled and turned to walk towards Ning Su. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 3098. 1 second to remember, LoveNet, providing you with wonderful reading. The sound of the zither slowly resounds. Mayan's figure instantly splits into two. The Shin musician skill, Heavy Phantom, activates. The rank 4-star domain is unleashed without reservation. One of the two, Mayan, stays where she is, plucking the strings. The other holds the 7 absolute sword, slowly walking towards Ning Su. After this battle, the Shuzhen continent will no longer be able to confine her, June Mayan. She can finally shatter the void and go to a wider world. She can finally reunite with Xiao Bao and Di Mingju. There is no one in this world that can stop her from moving forward. If God blocks, kill God. If Buddha blocks, kill Buddha. Ning Su holds the demon-slaying sword upside down, staring blankly at the girl walking towards him. The bright moonlight falls on her face, illuminating her peerlessly beautiful facial features. That pair of peach blossom eyes that are similar to his own, exactly the same as Ning Yanxin's, under the dark starlight, lacks the coldness and indifference in his memory, but has a hint of disdain for the whole world. Ning Su's mind flashes through one scene after another. There's the joy of following Ning Yanxin a long time ago. There's also his first encounter with Mayan in Cloud City, and their reunion at Solar Sea. Everything suddenly seems like a dream, warm and beautiful. But a dream is just a dream. After waking up, all that's left is a bone-chilling cold, and the resentment of being abandoned again and again. Ning Su suddenly chuckles, his expression indescribably desolate and twisted. In the end, he still restrains all his emotions, and looks at the girl in front of him with an expressionless face. "I know that you have broken through the crossing tribulation stage, but do you know why my cultivation is now?" He pointed at the corpses on the square, and a mocking expression appeared on his face. "In my eyes, this motley crew doesn't even have the qualifications to make me take action. As long as I want to, I can easily take their lives at any time, anywhere, and as easy as flipping my palm. June Mayan, do you really think that by defeating them, you can defeat me?" Mayan coldly says, "Ning Su, when did you become so talkative? If you want to fight, then let's fight." Ning Su let out a low laugh. 5 fingers released the inverted demon-slaying sword. The demon-slaying sword hummed and flew into his palm. "On the cultivation land, I've killed 3,467 demons, but I've never used the true power of the demon-slaying sword. June Mayan, this time, I will completely remove the seal on the demon-slaying sword and cut off your head with my own hands." As soon as he finished speaking, a glaring ray of blood-red light exploded from the demon-slaying sword. The powerful energy swirled, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth also surged violently, like raging waves and a hurricane. The 6 disciples of the Xiaoyao sect, who had been watching from the side, suddenly changed their expressions. Ning Su's strength had already reached such a level. Could junior sister really win? Shushan continent, above the hidden abyss. Seeing Di Mingju descending from the sky, Xiao Bao immediately breaks free from Min Wei's embrace and throws himself into his arms. Father! Xiao Bao grabs Di Mingju's lapel, raising his head to look at him nervously. Daddy, are you all right? Di Mingju strokes his head. Daddy is fine. Xiao Bao looks at Jun Shitian, who has descended almost at the same time as Di Mingju. Black-clothed uncle, are you all right? Jun Shitian coldly glances at him. I'm fine. Humph, you only have your father in your eyes. Why do you still care about me? Demon Lord. Min Wei and Tian He hurriedly greet him. Looking at the slowly disappearing whirlpool in the sky, their faces reveal an excited expression. Jun Shitian waved his hand and said, let's go back to Demon Abyss. Mobile users, please browse and read. Chapter 3099. We're going back so soon. Min Wei was reluctant to leave. Aren't we going to kidnap the young master back to the demonic abyss to play? Otherwise, you can bring the young master around. Tian He looked at Min Wei with disdain. Do you still remember that you are an elder of the demon domain? You're captivated by a baby. The key point is that the baby is Di Mingju's son. How could the people of the demon region be so spineless? However, when he thought of Min Wei's gigantic hammer, Tianhe swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. Jun Shitian coldly glanced at Min Wei, causing Min Wei to instantly shut up. In the end, he even greeted Xiao Bao pitifully, little Gongzi, what's so fun about the polar domain? Our demon territory is 100 times more interesting than that. When are you free to come over and play? Remember to blow the demon bone whistle that Uncle Min Wei gave you. As long as you blow it, Uncle Min Wei will definitely come to pick you up immediately. Everyone from the polar domain, your demon domain is 100 times more interesting than the polar domain. Would you demons die if you didn't brag? This wouldn't do. Once they returned to the polar domain, they would definitely keep a close eye on the little lord. They absolutely couldn't let him leave even by a single step. What if someone snatched it away? Everyone was just about to angrily accuse Di Mingju of the shamelessness of the demon race. But Di Mingju has already picked up Xiao Bao, turning around to leave. Daddy. Di Mingju looks down at him, and says in a low voice, do you want to see Nyangqin? Xiao Bao's big eyes, which were almost exactly the same as his, immediately lit up. Her long eyelashes gently blinked twice. Sparkling and translucent tears rolled down her cheeks. Xiao Bao hurriedly wiped it off and nodded heavily. Yes. Even in his dreams, he wanted to quickly see his mother. He wanted to know if his mother was well, if she was injured, and if she had been bullied. The light in Di Mingju's eyes becomes penetratingly gentle in a split second, his voice hoarse and lingering. Father also wants to. From the moment the enchantment changed and the nightmare ghosts started wreaking havoc, he has been madly wanting to see his Mu Yen. At this point, he couldn't bear it any longer. However, just as Di Mingju is about to carry Xiao Bao away, suddenly, a shout stopped him from moving. Monarch! Yu Yanran slowly walks forward, her beautiful eyes fixated on Di Mingju and Xiao Bao. The resentment and bitterness in her heart caused her originally pale face to flush red. Even the rims of his eyes started to tear up. But Yu Yanran was the island lord of Linglong Island after all. She only lost her composure for an instant, and she managed to control it well. Emperor, did you hear the spirit bell in the kamikaze sect's burial ground? Hearing Yu Yanran's words, everyone who was celebrating the restoration of the sky pillar was shocked. For a moment, it was as if someone had stuck an immobilizing talisman on them. All of a sudden, everyone stopped talking and turned to look at him. Di Mingju's brows furrowed tightly. His sharp gaze looked at Yu Yanran, and within it was a mixture of scrutiny, disgust, and vigilance. Yu Yanran's body stiffened. At this moment, she felt as if she had been completely seen through by the man in front of her. All of the schemes behind the scenes were all exposed. Extreme embarrassment and fear welled up, almost making her collapse. But at this moment, Jing Yuan's voice cuts in, Amitabha, this humble Taoist is also brooding over this. The little monk, who had already changed into a golden-red kasaya, slowly walks forward. He's called a little monk, but that's only in reference to his appearance. Chapter 3100. Handsome, delicate, with a bit of a natural baby face. But everyone knows that this young-looking monk is a top expert at the immortal venerable level. The Debi temple that he belonged to was the Buddhist holy land that had stood for the longest time in the Shushan continent and was also the most respected one. Di Jun, ever since the remains of the Shin musicians were sealed in the burial ground, the ghost bell has never rung once in 1,000 years. But now, in less than 3 years, the ghost bell has rung 3 times in succession. The first is meridians, the second is bone molding, and the third is tribulation breaking. 3 rings of the bell means that the Shin musician remnant's immortal bone has been formed, and he is about to break through the limits of a cultivator, cross the tribulation and ascend. Jing Yuan's words cause a sudden uproar among the cultivators present. Are you kidding me? In less than 2 years, he went from spiritual vein formation to spiritual body perfection, and triggered the great tribulation of heaven and earth? Is this a cultivation speed that a human can have? But if this person is a remnant of the Shin musicians, then this kind of progress is not unusual. Could it be that in that war, the Shin music sect really didn't die out? Are they going to make a comeback? Jing Yuan sighs softly, his expression becoming more and more dignified, and the most important point, the ghost bell rung 3 times means that the Shin musician has at least advanced to the 7th rank. If you have read the history of the Shin music sect, you should know what it means to be a 7th rank Shin musician. Hearing this, many people's expressions become more and more dignified, even faintly carrying a trace of unconcealable fear. But there are also people who disagree. Even if it really is a remnant of the Shin musicians, there is no need to be so serious, right? In the past, the Shin music sect was so prosperous, running amok in the 3 realms, but in the end it was not destroyed by us. Yes, even if the Shin musician really left behind an inheritance, at most it would be 1 person. Even if he really broke the tribulation and ascended, at best he would be a top false immortal or a golden immortal. Any one of us here can easily crush him. Huang Shouchuan snorts, raising his voice, you are wrong. The Shin musicians are cunning and powerful, they are definitely not as simple as you think. His eyes sweep over everyone present. Do you know what it means to be a 7th rank Shin musician? Not waiting for anyone to answer, Huang Shouchuan has already continued. A 7th stage Shin musician can already assist thousands of soldiers and horses at the same time, controlling the overall situation of the battlefield. She can use the sound of the zither to bewitch people's hearts, making low-level cultivators or immortals unswervingly loyal to her. She can also gather all the knowledge under the heavens, trampling all the dignity and 10,000 years of inheritance of the noble families and sects under her feet. Hiss! What kind of joke was this? But how can a single person do this? Otherwise, why do you think a mere sect and 100-mile sound network could turn the entire Shushan continent upside down 1,000 years ago? The collapse of the sky pillar this time and the nightmare ghosts wreaking havoc can already be considered a monstrous calamity, but compared to that great battle 1,000 years ago, it can only be considered a small calamity. Those Shin musicians can even control haunted ghosts. Don't you think it's scary? Yu Yanran's slightly sorrowful voice slowly rises. My parents died at the hands of the Shin musicians. In the war 1,000 years ago, blood flowed like a river on Linglong Island, and countless people died. The blood feud of my parents, Yanran does not dare to forget in this life. Such a tragedy, I do not want to see it happen again in the Shushan continent. A beauty's pear blossom in the rain, sad tears, always makes people feel distressed. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.